Gonna print out and get organized, so. I will call the meeting to order. My watch says 6:30, the thing on the wall says 6:31. Okay, first we need to do a roll call. So,
Bill Irving.
Nancy Dion.
Alan Knight. Dennis St. Hilaire.
Kim Singer.
Charlie Dion.
Suzanne Heward.
Michelle Small.
Andy Gale.
Denise Knowles. Judy Nelson.
and Vern Crozier. Is there anyone who should be here that is absent? Raise your hand.
Yeah, right.
Do we seem to have everybody here who's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 12 of us.
Yes,
Huh?
we're all here.
We're all here.
Okay, so we have no absentees. All right, let's begin, based on the agenda, review, modification, or approval of the February 15th, 2017 minutes. Yes,
I believe we have to elect a chair first. I really think that's the first order of business.
So can Alan and I not vote since we're not sworn in?
Oh, you're not sworn in
Or
either?
can we just
Kate
ask
was
for
supposed to be
permission?
here tonight.
I'm sorry?
I
She's
think,
supposed to
I
be
think
here
it would be
tonight.
fine. I don't mind voting. I mean, that's just, it's a formality, right?
I mean,
Does anyone object to Kim or Alan not voting because they have not yet been sworn in? Hearing none, we will
We're
presume,
just
That
over.
might be her.
what?
Here
Door
she
just
is.
opened.
is.
Oh, okay, I just sent her an email.
Oh, I guess what we've heard of it,
Late.
huh?
So I'll take Alan and Kim for a minute. Those are the only two, is that correct?
I think so.
That need to be sworn in?
Oh, no, I don't.
All you need to be sworn in is your school board person.
That's right, I don't have to be sworn as a budget
No.
committee member.
No.
Thank goodness. Whew, I suddenly, yeah. You could see it.
We'll take a brief pause while the town clerk does her thing.
did we approve the minutes from from February 1st?
I,
That would be the last
We didn't?
batch of minutes.
I don't think we did, nor do I have us, is not approved, February 1st, and the 11th as well. Have not been approved, as well as the 15th. I could be wrong.
they're still in draft
January
status.
11th, you're
No,
talking
it's not.
February 11th.
February.
February.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but they're
February,
in
yeah.
draft status, they're
Yeah.
not finally approved.
Yeah.
All right. Can we wait for the swearing in to be done, and then we'll deal with,
Yes,
although you seem to want to have the,
yeah, we really should start with the chair. The officers, whatever the
Is that you
officers are.
buzzing?
Mm.
That's,
That's your,
and I'm not.
Credit is good.
21st.
we can lower your rate.
They should not be allowed to come for well.
They're supposed to be stopping now.
Yeah.
I just click and say, okay, thank you very much, I have your number, and I'm putting it through to the, because I'm on the do not call, so your number's gonna be now listed.
to which they shrug and call you back.
No, they hang up on me.
Yeah, well, yeah, but then they'll call you back.
And then I block their number.
I just tell them
Call
like.
Vern, are you recording?
Up to 9 meetings.
Vern,
Bernie, you
you
recording?
recording?
Yes, we are recording.
Just checking.
Yes, we're recording. A lot of dead air.
Mm.
Can we have a side conversation with Corey? Is that
What?
okay?
Yeah,
About, because I'm not on the January 11th meeting list or the December 21st, and I'm excused on February 1st, and I don't recall missing 3 meetings in my life, so I'm not sure.
No,
There was
there was
some
only
issues.
one excused,
Was
wasn't it?
January, what was January one? Was that one of the deliberative sessions or public hearing?
There was some issues, and I don't have it with me unfortunately. There was some issues with votes and people not being right. So January 11th was the proposed warrant articles.
It's just.
well,
Well, we had
there was a hearing on
says, one small then stated that the report from Chief Rufford and it says name, but I'm not listed as president. So I spoke.
That's what I mean.
I think that's what I was
Unless you were
talking
there by
about.
home.
We're
Just
willing
guessing.
to get into the fray.
And I am a
That's
one
what it
L,
is.
Michelle.
Okay.
It's like a mental illness that I have, so.
So let me see if I spoke it clearly when I wasn't at. So I only missed the one I was sick, and then last year.
Yeah, I thought you
was
should
right
write
on.
one.
Yeah. I remember this conversation with Partridge and.
Legal. Secret handshake, we did together.
It's legal, I'm leaving for vacation now, everybody behave.
Have a great vacation.
The report to me.
Have a great vacation.
Bye-bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.
where you at?
January 11th. I'm trying to see if I spoke at December 21st. Sometimes I'm quiet.
Minutes.
Okay. February 1st was the public hearing and the deliberation.
She was there.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I'm saying that's what's before us to whether we want to approve those minutes or not and make.
Can we elect the chair first and the vice chair, please?
21st, I was there, December 21st, correct.
We'll get back to the
Please.
minutes in a moment, we're going to switch. Okay. Let's begin with the election of the Budget Committee Chair and Vice Chair.
Any nominations?
Anyone interested?
What?
Is there anyone interested?
Are you gonna make the nominations? Please, let's keep it to that.
I'll nominate Bill Irvin.
I must respectfully decline, unfortunately. I'm gonna be in a couple of different committees, and I just don't wanna overextend. But thank you for your thoughts and compliments, but I must respectfully decline.
I'll nominate Denise Knowles.
I have to also respectfully decline. I am on the same committees as Bill. It's gonna be a lot of work.
Kim.
For inclusion?
I decline. I really don't think a chair should serve for 2 consecutive years.
I'll ask my question again, is anybody interested?
Why wouldn't you think a chair should serve for 2 consecutive years?
It's a lot, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It also, you need some rotating leadership. Everybody gets to be involved, that sort of thing.
Okay, I get it, but I think that also it gives
Yeah.
some,
Bill,
I would nominate Alan Robinson.
Sure. Okay, Jeff. I won't decline.
I'm
I will
sorry,
second that.
you won't decline.
I won't decline.
Okay.
No.
Who
you
seconded?
vice.
Come on.
Right.
We need to vote that one in first.
Are there any other nominations first? Bill,
Move to close and cast one vote for Alan Robinson.
looks that way. Without opposition, Alan becomes the chair.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So I did that.
Condolences, Mike.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now,
So,
wait, we have
with
the vice
that, we
chair.
go on to the vice chair.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I'll take, oh, go ahead.
This is just, so that we can all remember this, you can't chair from a remote site.
Right, I'll be there.
So, yeah.
We need a very strong vice chair. No, to be honest with you, I'm hoping that things are better this year.
Do you need some,
I'm gonna try it from this was my goal, so I'm gonna do my best, thank you.
if you need it?
Thank you. All right, so we'll go right on to nominations for the vice chair. Do we have any nominations for that?
Uh,
Michelle Sloan, I think she could handle Do we have a second for Michelle?
I'm.
Second.
Oh, jeez.
All right,
She willing.
I don't know.
we'll be partners.
All right, I'll do it with Alan.
Ah, that is sweet. So we need to see if there are any other nominations. If there are no other nominations, can we get a closing and one vote like Bill gave me?
Move and close, cast one vote.
Excellent. With no opposition, Michelle is vice chair.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard. All right, now I do not know all the rules and regulations, so you guys are gonna have to help me on my first meeting. But I think what we'll start with, since we have our new elected officials, we'll just go right down the agenda. We'll start with review, modification, or approval of the February 15th minutes. Bill?
Page 4, item number 24, the vote. It indicates 6 yes and 4 no, but if you look at the individual voting
8 to 2.
tallies, it shows 8 to 2. So we need to fix that, and I think, Michelle, you and I spoke at some point where that was, your vote was not what was reflected in the minutes, is that correct?
February 15th.
So, do we, I have that here somewhere, the actual, that was the 15th?
February 15th? That's on the
You're looking at the 15?
Which one was it though?
Item number 24 says, motion to modify by reduction the budget submitted by the select board by 55,450 in the recommended areas that Kay St. Hilaire suggested, made by Vern Crozier and seconded by Bill Irving. So the votes, according to the minutes, indicate
Under the roll call.
Nancy, yes, Kim, yes, Madeline, yes, Suzanne, no, me, no, Michelle, yes, Dennis, yes, Vern, yes, Carrie Boyle, yes, and Alan Robinson, yes. Is that, but below that, it indicates 6 yeses and 4 nos, which is not what's reflected in those numbers, so it looks like 2 of those yes votes should be nos.
Right.
And Michelle, one of those was yours, is
I
that?
believe one of those was mine.
And the other one was Alan, okay, so then that, is that sound right?
That does.
Good, okay, so, so that was the only item I had for the 15th.
Yeah.
So is it 8 to 2 or 6 to 4?
6 more.
It's 6 to 4, but this is just incorrect up here. So, because there's actually 8 yeses up here and only 2 nos. And it should be 6 and 4.
I would think, wouldn't Alan be a no and,
Yes, he was.
okay.
So that's what we're doing, we're correcting this here.
Okay, so.
The vote is this, the vote is correct.
Okay.
It's the individual members' votes that was
Okay.
incorrect.
Michelle and Alan would be the obvious no's
Correct.
in this case.
Mhm.
So that was the only item I had for the 15th.
So just to help me out, we just mention that and the minutes get updated? And how does that
Well,
work?
I send the,
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you'll make the corrections and send them over? Excellent. All right. You understand what we're looking to do? Just change the 2 numbers?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay,
Can I make a comment?
absolutely.
And that is, this was a minor thing overall, and I think it needs to be recognized and on the record that I think Corey's doing a superior job with
Absolutely.
these
Absolutely.
minutes.
No question, no
If
question.
anybody said it wasn't, we love Cory.
No, I think it needs to be stated and publicly expressed, and it will be in the record, right? And all the self-congratulatory things in there.
Excellent.
So with that said, I would, if there's no other changes, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes as reflected, as modified.
And I will second.
Okay, with any additional conversation on the minutes? Nope, seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed? I wasn't a member then.
So we have,
So you just don't vote?
So are you voting, opposed, or are you not voting?
I'm not voting.
Okay, not
I'll
voting,
do it
so,
that way.
so 11 ayes and 1 abstain. No, 2, 10. 10
I didn't
ayes,
vote.
1 abstain, 9 ayes,
And two,
3 abstains, and a no vote, abstaining 2?
I didn't read them, so.
Oh, fair enough. It passes, majority rules. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. All right, so with that, yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Then it appears to us that we have not approved the February 1st meeting minutes, which I have also looked at and appear fine to me, so I think we should look at those or approve them as written.
Are you making the motion?
Yes, I will make
and
that
I'll
motion.
second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded.
Right, so now, is there any discussion on this, because this was not part of our agenda, so I'm good with it as the chair, because this is what we do for business, but is there anyone who didn't read them, or who has any additional comments to make on the February 1st minutes before we vote to accept? Seeing none, I'll look for a vote to see if we will accept the February 1st minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed? No,
Abstained.
abstain.
All right, so
I like to confuse.
majority rules, ayes vote. I'm not gonna try to get the numbers. All right, so out to the group, just before we move on from review and modification of the minutes, are there any other minutes or any other, go ahead, Bill?
Same way with February 11th. I don't think we've approved those. And I do have a couple of, they're really almost grammatical issues.
What are they, Bill?
Page 2, section B, assessed valuations before revalue. Let me pull them up so I can figure out what I'm talking about. That was the 11th was a long meeting, right? So,
Well, that was the public hearing, wasn't it?
yeah, page 2. Okay, here we go. Okay, on page 2 there, B, it says, this growth across the town has in turn resulted in an increased assessed evaluations before the evaluation. And I think that should read, has resulted in an increased assessed valuations before the revaluation.
Which letter is it?
This is B,
First one, first paragraph.
And you said this is February 11th?
yeah.
I have the 1st, the 15th. Was that all in the same email? Did I miss that?
I have these
And
attached now.
January 14th?
I don't know.
So I think that's just a grammatical thing, if I,
Who said it, Bill?
Suzanne, you said this.
Yes, I did say that, it was a slide, I think, or.
Do I have that correct, though, that it
Yes,
should read the
what you said is
increased in?
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then, paragraph D as well, also says, Suzanne then informed the audience that she remains unsure. I think that should just be remains unsure.
What was I unsure of?
I don't know, about the budget committee's particular recommendations about the budget.
Still not sure, right?
It was what it was, that's probably, but well.
Page 8 is the next one I have, and again, item M. This is Michelle Small. We must fund out, it reads, we must fund out police and fire department. I believe it should read, we must fund our police and fire departments. And the last one is page 15. It might being too picky on this stuff?
No, I can't find it on my email.
Okay,
So
'cause I
this
can,
is-
I might have put it under the name, not the date of what it was,
You did what, I'm sorry?
like public hearing or something.
Oh.
Which one are we talking about? What hearing was this?
This is the one on the 11th of February.
The public hearing piece or the deliberative?
I think it goes one right into the other.
Oh, I see.
I'm just going, I just made
Which
a
one?
list and went down. Page 15, item number 4, Denise is speaking. Denise makes a comment that the chair should not be voting in order to create a tie which results in a failed recommendation and wishes to see documentation saying it is allowed. I state that I believe no one should be abstaining. We are elected here by our constituents and they expect me to make votes, I believe that's supposed to, and they expect us to make votes.
I might have been quoting.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
yeah,
All right,
Not
so,
necessarily do that, but.
should I send these directly rather than bring this up here, since most of this is grammatical stuff and I just,
Well, I'm recording this, so.
okay.
Yeah, I have.
So, but I mean beforehand, because it seems sort of, I mean, these are just,
That's what we do.
You must have
okay.
had,
That's all right.
you must have had my 7th grade teacher too, Mrs. Stammers.
Oh, this is what I do all day, is read and review proposals.
There we go.
I would
Gotta
prefer,
go.
like, if it's just grammatical stuff, just
Yeah.
beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, I'll do that.
it's not.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
because,
Because I can just
and
bring it
again,
and fix it.
I mean, part of me, I don't mean to be picky, because I know it's, you know, doing what you do, I mean,
I have a
99%
tenuous
of it
grasp
is
with
right
it.
on. But I think it's important that
Yeah.
the record is.
No, I wanted to, if it's gonna be
All right.
permanent.
Yeah, and that's all I have, so. for now.
Do you wanna make a motion?
To accept
Read
these
those.
revisions.
Yes, I would make a motion that we accept the revisions as we've just discussed, or just.
Accept the minutes as they are being amended.
Correct.
All right, looking for a second?
Second.
Okay, we've been, motioned and seconded. Is there any other discussion? With that, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, let it be known that it passed. Majority rules. Okay,
Alan,
go ahead.
a procedural thing, what
Sure.
now has to happen is those have to have the word draft and the corrections made. They have to be sent to you, you in turn have to send them to Tia,
Okay,
so that she knows that these are final.
okay, gotcha.
Just remove the draft version, put this one as.
Remove draft.
One of the many wondrous tasks.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. I can't wait. No, it'll be good. It's good. There's a lot to it, and I'm hoping you guys will bear with it.
Yeah, and if you, well, speaking for me, I did it a couple of years before, but if you have questions, feel free to call.
Thank you.
Email, send smoke signals.
I appreciate that. You'll be hit up. All right, with that, we actually did number 2, which was election of budget committee chair and vice chair as number 1. So we're scratching that off. We're moving down the list. So number 3 is the review of third quarter FY17 school financials. First quarter FY17 to the town and water and sewer district financials. So we'll start with the school and we'll welcome Judy.
Thank you, it's my first time serving as the actual rep to the budget committee. I'm happy to be here. I did bring 3 hard copies for those
I
who
have
need them.
5,
Take one. You need one?
and these are with detail.
I don't know what that is of.
Those are with detail.
What is that?
That's
That's
the
the detail.
detailed one, at April 7th.
Okay. All right, I did not bring detail. I brought the,
The detail report contains the summary.
Yeah, so I'm good with Judy going on with her presentation.
Okay, so I actually have a number of things to chat about tonight, and hope folks will join me in the conversation. My basic goal for this year, for this budget season, is basically that we can share a lot, I can share a lot of school information, we can have conversations, so that when it comes time to really consider the school budget sometime in January, that we can all be making good decisions based on all the information we've talked about through the season. So my goal truly is to share as much information as possible with you. So a number of things have come to light in the past few months, and I want to share those with you. One of the things that happens during a transition period is we find out that different school districts account for things differently. For instance, we send our 7 through 12 to Marshwood. This is, by the way, a real example. And we pay for special ed by unit price. We did not get a definition of unit from Marshwood. So we assumed a unit was an hour. It was not an hour. So when we figured out the price, we were figuring out it would be an hour, we were figuring an hour per unit. They were figuring more like 45 or 50 minutes. So in other words, we had budgeted more money than we needed for special ed. So good for us, we now have more money in our budget. To the tune of, I don't know, over 100,000, probably about $125,000.
Is 45 minutes that different from an hour?
Well, I'm using that as an example. We don't know exactly yet. We still don't know how they define a unit. We only know how we defined a unit. Or a day, for instance. A day, maybe we said a day was 7 hours, maybe they said a day was 6 hours. We don't know yet, but we are working that out with them. One of the things we are requesting for Marshwood to do going forward now is that here are our special ed kids, here are the services they're going to require for essentially to cover New Hampshire law for this amount of time. So you tell us what you're going to charge us for them. In the past, we have not had that working together in the past. So essentially that has now covered, go ahead. So I'll answer questions on this, but essentially that's what happened is there was not an understanding on each side of what that was.
May I? So how did you go through a whole year with not knowing? I mean, they billed you for an entire year.
Yep.
They must have had a unit price by whatever time it is.
Well, it's interesting because it does take time. We get billed twice a year for special ed. And of course, we don't know until the very last one, at the end of the year, because that's the one where you're doing a catch-up or anything. So we don't know till then, till we're off. So it was discovered, so essentially by the time we discovered it, we had gone through 3 billings. It took us 3 billings to figure out that we think we have a problem here. And it's a good problem for us in the sense that we're, it could have been the other way around, but their bills were always coming in under what we expected. And that wasn't as much cause for alarm as them coming in over what we expected. So we have a bit of money that is now in the.
Good.
Are you saying they just bulk bill you? They say, pay us this amount?
Oh, no, the bill is very detailed, very detailed.
Okay.
But it was not as much, but we had put aside more money to pay that bill based on how we were figuring units than.
Nobody sat down and looked at this detailed budget and said, bagosh, we're.
Yeah, we looked at it and said, it's not as much as we were expecting it to be. Yes, someone did look at that and say that. And then they looked at it again, 6 months later and said, yeah, that's still more, it's still less than we're expecting to pay. And then by the 3rd time it was, we better figure out what the problem is here. And that's when they really dove into it.
So who would be calling after the first time you noticed it to ask the question instead of waiting until the next bill?
I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone called then or not. I really don't know. Part of it is, of course, staffing to have the time to do that. But anyway, we're on the good side of it, luckily.
So from last year to this year, I don't recall, I don't have it in front of me, how much the increase was in the sped budget. Do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I can look it up here, but I don't have it right now.
But was there an increase, do you recall?
Actually, there was a decrease in the sped budget, actually. Tuition went up more, I mean, we had more students, but the sped budget actually went down, at least in the middle school. I don't know if it went down in the high school. So now we have this money, and so what we're going to be, a couple things are going to be done. First of all, the budgeting is going to be much tighter going forward. And the other thing on special ed is we always want to have a cushion, a little bit of a cushion, because you never know what's going to happen with special ed. So again, it wasn't cause for alarm when we had enough money, more than enough money.
Maybe I missed it. How much money are we talking about?
About 125,000, somewhere around that range. Again, we're not going to know again until we get the final.
Okay.
Out of a total budget of,
For special ed?
yeah, it must be.
Okay.
I mean, if it's 2%, it's, de minimis. If it's 40%, it's very significant.
$1,000,001, it says here. The budgeted amount.
For special ed?
Well,
I don't know about the breakdown.
number.
1.134.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
And that's for Marshall, correct?
10%.
No, it's just
No.
special education, so
In
it's
total.
it's total. You don't have it broken down on this.
No, I didn't, no, it's not broken down there.
Go ahead.
No, but it's broken
Okay,
down.
this 100,000 you're talking about, is that on top of the 108,000 that you've already put aside, plus the 15,000 you're giving the teachers, plus the 25 or
There's,
6 that you've given
You're
for the
jumping,
new bathroom?
you're jumping a little bit ahead, Charlie, but
No,
yes.
but
this
those
is-
have already been approved.
No, well, no, they haven't, but, not all of them have, but you're right. We did set aside money earlier this year for the bathrooms.
Yep.
We encumbered money earlier this year for the bathrooms. And so this money that I'm telling you about right now is new. We learned about it for the first time in our April meeting,
Mhm.
our March and April meetings when we sort of became clear. So this is on top of that. So yes, we have more money in the budget than we were anticipating to have at this point. And we are going to use some of that money. The school is going to use some of that money. We're going to build a shed. We're going to do some technology, so we're going to get out ahead of our technology plan, our 5-year technology plan. We're going to replace smart boards this year that we did not expect to replace until next year. So we're going to get out ahead of our technology plan that's been out there for people to look at. We're going to replace the windows in the annex. And everyone's going to be really surprised to hear this, but God bless asbestos in the 60s, there's asbestos in the window caulking. So there will be mitigation going on with the windows when they get replaced in the
Must be
annex.
pressing.
I know. So it's like, we can always say, well, as far as we know, the asbestos is all gone, but it is not.
Follow up. Did you ever find out what happened to one of the smart boards that summer?
So I'm gonna,
No.
I wanna stay on topic and continue this discussion for specifics to that nature. I kinda wanna keep that to a minute.
All right, so we can come back to some of that stuff if there's time. Anyway, so those are some of the things that we're going to be using some of this money on. We fully anticipate returning to the town as close to $100,000 to returning it back. We're not going to spend it down to that. That's our anticipation.
So they did this IBEA study, and there was a lot of things on that list. How do the smart board, getting ahead of the smart boards with the smart boards and technology seem to be a higher priority than going through that list of needs for the building?
Excellent, because that's my next point. I'm so glad you brought that up. Perfect timing. All right, so one of the other things that we definitively learned at our April school board meeting that we have been asking for quite a while to get sort of really defined for us is every year when we have extra money, we put a warrant article out asking the town to put some of that extra money into a capital reserve building fund. And we've tried to find out if we can use that like a CIP fund. In other words, we put money in so that when we have to replace the roof or the boiler or some of those items that were on the IEB study, that are big ticket items, that we will have money put away for it. And we've actually had, the answers have swung back and forth, and we now have a definitive answer. The simplest way to define it is yes, it can be used like a CIP fund. It is meant to be a reserve fund to save money for, not for a rainy day, not for an emergency, but to actually put money aside to do the big ticket items in the school.
But you're going to need a vote.
Oh yeah, it's just like the CIP fund. We vote to put money in, and we vote to take money out. So it would be planned, they would actually be it has to be used for planned things like a new roof. And along with that, just so, as the budget rep this year, I intend to sit on the CIP committee if it's still meeting, and I just hope, I don't know if there's anyone here, I think a couple of you here are on it, and if y'all could just get my name on the list.
Mike
I
is
was
the,
gonna ask later on in the meeting for the CIP.
Okay, all right, so that we can then get the school big ticket items, because they are starting to be identified now, get those on there so that we can see what we're putting this money away for.
Michelle's first.
Can you said that it's not to be used for an emergency? I thought unless I'm confused, but I thought at the description of it, the whole purpose of it was for when the roof caved in unexpectedly. So now
Yes,
you're
and that's-
saying it's the exact opposite.
It's the exact opposite. Now, it can be used for an emergency, but
So it can be.
But again, it has to be voted on
Right.
to be used that way. But the part that the school board had not been clear on up until very, very recently is that we can use it as a fund to put money in for, not just for an emergency, but to replace a roof, to replace a boiler, to do those kinds of things that have to be
Just a
done.
follow-up, so it can be used for both emergency or planned.
Anything building related.
Thank you.
Vern is next.
So functionally, it's the same as it was before, you just changed it from building reserve fund to a SIP fund.
Yeah, I mean, it is,
Because functionally,
it's
legally,
still gonna be
it's all-
called the building reserve fund, because it can be used for anything for the building.
But nothing is functionally changed.
Correct.
You're still gonna need a vote to withdraw.
That is correct. We're gonna need a vote to put it in, we're gonna need a vote to take it out.
Right. So functionally, it hasn't changed.
It has not changed, it's just in the heads of how it can be used. Now we realize we can start saving for a new roof. We didn't realize that, the board did not realize that before.
You mean for a specific task or a specific function?
Yeah, for big ticket items that are coming down the pike, yep.
Okay.
Next, Suzanne.
I'm just curious, who provided the definitive or the change of,
We got it from the SAU office, they went back to a 1990 something, or 2000 something, town meeting, where, and I did not bring it with me, I don't believe I brought it with me, but it's beautifully highlighted, where it quotes Ed Jansen speaking about it and other people about, this is definitely how it is to be used. So they do have, they found it, they found the minutes, they highlighted them, and
so two questions. One is, do we have a legal opinion on that? And the second one is, so when do you intend to have a vote to withdraw that money?
oh, not for a number of years. We do have big ticket items coming down the pike. We have, a new roof will be coming in 4 or 5 years probably, but we wanna put money into it, we wanna build it up.
So just a follow-up, is so you have the surplus dollars. So back to the original question, how does technology take precedence over the building needs?
It doesn't, but we don't have, if we had $100,000 building need right this minute to put it into, we would, but we don't have that right now.
So I have a copy of the IBEA study, and there was a lot of things, small things on that study that
And quite a few of
probably
those
fall into
small
that.
things have probably been done. I mean, we need to go through it again, but, I mean, we can talk about it, but, we're following our facilities, managers', recommendations on those things.
Suzanne.
well, my own opinion is that technology is related to the delivery of education to students. Whereas you need a safe building, you need a building that comes up to code, but the technology actually addresses your programmatic efforts as opposed to.
Do you buy a TV before you fix a door?
All right, so we're gonna stay on topic, so go ahead, Bill.
Just sort of a comment, I applaud the school board's intention to return, I'm hoping a large chunk of that money to the town. I really do, I think that will go a long way to be good. I'll leave it at that. I think there are many needs, but, I think the school, a lot of money's been spent on the school, and the town has been generous, I think, to the school and doing what needs to be done. And I think now we've made this determination that's come up. I think it would be a very good sign or show for a good chunk of that could come back to the town and say, look, this is what we have, and we're making the changes to do our budgeting better from from Marshwood or whatever, and we have this money extra, and here it comes back to the town. My 2 cents. Thank you.
Further.
So if I understood you correctly, you're proposing in the next cycle or budget cycle or whatever, that you will make a deposit into that account as well as a percentage if there's money left over? Is that what your desire is?
No, it always has to be by warrant, it always, and they ask warrants not to be by percentage. We tried to do that a couple of years ago, and our legal counsel said, no, we don't want you to do it by percentage, we want you to put an actual dollar value on it, so the town knows exactly how much is going in. So, going forward, next year, next budget cycle, we do not anticipate asking to put any money into the special ed reserve fund. It right now is at about 100, with what's going in this year, there's about $155,000, and we figure, right now, that might, would I like to see it a little bit higher? Yes, but I think it's enough for emergencies at 155,000. So we'll not be asking to put money in there, but had we known we were going to have this much excess, we would have actually put a lot more into the building reserve fund.
Okay, but you put a dollar amount into that?
Yes.
Only if there was money available at the end of the year budget?
Correct.
So is that still the way you're going to
Yes,
handle any, because that's an uncertainty?
Yes.
Whether or not you're gonna have money put in, because you don't know if you're gonna have leftover.
Right.
So is it yours?
I see what you're saying. You're saying, might we at some point say,
Have
if
an
we don't
actual
have money
dollar
left
amount.
over, say, like the town does, say, that we want to put $50,000 into this, and an amount to be raised by taxation?
Right,
Perhaps.
right.
And it may come to that. Right now, we are not anticipating. We're not anticipating that for next year.
Okay, thank you.
But I don't know what's gonna come down the pike after that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask a question to the budget committee as we're having this discussion. I think Denise brings up a good point. So as a budget committee, is our direction to the school going to be to continue this fund as an excess fund, right, if they have money at the end of the year? Or would we like the school to manage their CIP like the town does, where the expectation is that they are going to raise money to put into it for these bigger picture items? So if the budget committee wants them to raise it by taxation to put into the account like we do for the town, now is the time to tell the school that, because they can make those adjustments for the next cycle of elections. Go ahead.
Okay, being on CIP, I think when you have a CIP program, you have already identified what you need and how long it takes you to get that money. So if it's a huge project like roofing the whole school, I would have it handled that you would do it through CIP and not at a dollar amount in case you have leftover. But I think also in case you have leftover, fixes some of the other things that you potentially, like broken windows or, something like that, it depends what the value is going to be, I think, whether or not you're gonna do one or the other. And that would have to be what the school will have to make that decision, how you're gonna handle it. Maybe 1 year do CIP, and then the next year do, if there's money left over, this amount going in there,
Yeah, I mean, as many of you know, it's difficult because we're doing our budget, almost 18 months ahead of time. Unlike the town that's actually doing their budget after they're actually in the budget year that they're spending it in. We have to try to project what we're gonna need 18 months ahead. And that, of course, again, has been part of the problem with catching up with what we're budgeting for special ed. We came up with our second year's budget after we hadn't even been billed yet for special ed. So, and that's the year we're in now, where we have all this more, sort of extra money for special ed. We built the budget before we even received one bill from Marshwood for special ed. So it's a difficult process. So I like what I'm hearing here. I mean, I don't think, and I'll come back and ask it, maybe Alan will help me remember that we'll come back and ask this at various times throughout, but this is why it'd be good, I think, for me to sit on the CIP, see how that works, see how all that works, and see how we can pull that together.
Yeah, and I think there was an intent by the capital improvement committee to incorporate the school as well. So, because it's all the same pot of money, so we should all be aware, And those items, even though they're school items, they're still items for the town. Those should be listed on the CIP so that we have those and we can, we can look at this and say, here's what we need. So I welcome your joining the CIP.
I just wanted to comment, I can't, and maybe somebody else can remember better, but I don't remember a year in my recent memory that we haven't had something left over to put into a fund at the end of the school year. Does anybody remember?
There was one, the year that we were allowed to, the first year that we were allowed to, I forget what it was called, retain and carry over, retain but for emergencies, the 2.5%. That year we had very little, actually, the very first year that was allowed, we had very, very little.
But there was something.
But there was something, yeah.
And prior years, before that fund was around, there was money going back to the town. So I guess my point is I'm a little hesitant to have a taxation created fund and a leftover fund, because the leftover fund was supposed to alleviate, instead of putting it into the general fund, it was supposed to alleviate the taxation coming down the pipe. So I'm afraid we'd have taking the leftover, which is great, and then, but also adding another line item for taxation for the school, I think is gonna be a hard sell. It's just my opinion, but
Sure, so,
I also don't
so
think.
we're actually gonna go 1, 2, 3, but I'm gonna go first, I wanna make sure that what I said is clear. What I was asking the budget committee about was not having 2 lines. It was changing the line from putting in leftover to actually putting in a dollar amount. So there would be no more leftover, the leftover would come back to the town. Right, so instead of having this fund to move it to, but either way, just for the point of clarification on that, we'll go ahead.
Okay, once in the last 40 years, we've had a special meeting for the school because of special ed. And that was the only time I know that we went over budget. We had a special meeting and it got approved.
Suzanne, is it?
Yeah, no, I was just going to really kind of say what
No.
both of you were saying, that I would prefer to see a thoughtful, one line, this is what we think we want to put in a CIP type of fund, and let any surplus for that year bleed back or go back right into the general fund.
Excellent, all right, Jim's up.
So how much is the building reserve fund now? And as I recall, going back over the last several years, the taxpayers have always contributed to that fund. So I don't think there's ever been an issue getting money into that fund.
Right now it's $103,000.
Just to
Oh,
follow
go ahead.
on that. So I think at least the last 3 years or so, the taxpayers have approved that appropriation, is that correct? Okay. And we've only accumulated 103?
We've kept them at relatively small amounts, 25,000. As I recall. Any other questions on that? I have a few other things.
Please continue.
Good conversations there. One of the things we've realized that it's probably time to do to get our ducks in a row we're going to, this year, the school board will start to explore both the educational and the financial impact of perhaps sending our 6th grade students to Marshwood. We have no preconceived notions. We simply want to know what, if indeed it will cost us more, if it will cost us less, and what the educational impact is on our students. But we are about to undertake that exploration. And Marshwood doesn't even know about this yet, but we will know about it on the 10th. So please come to the joint meeting if you have time to do that. And the last thing I want to talk about this evening, and I hope folks will jump in. I know you're not shy, so you probably will. Is that at the moment, we have sort of a growing liability in this town with the school. And the liability is that we have not passed collective bargaining agreements consistently over the past 9 years. In the past 9 years, we have not passed a collective bargaining agreement for 6 of those years. And 3 out of the last 4, we have not passed them. This means that this board, following the direction of this committee made up of different people, some of you were on it, but some of you were different, mentioned to the school board, don't hire at the top of the scale when you get somebody. Don't hire at the top of the step ladder. Hire lower, they're cheaper. And that's true, they are. They're less experienced and they're cheaper. But they also fully expect, because this is how teachers are paid, they expect every year to get that step increase. We now have, right now today, we have 5 teachers who are not on the correct step that they should be on. It is about, I believe, to start impacting us as a school board to be able to both attract and retain teachers who at this point are the teachers who have saved in the Rollinsford grade school budget, who have saved us money, over $100,000 last year, over $300,000 this year. That's an amazing amount of money that they have helped us save the town by right-sizing our teachers. We don't carry any extra teachers at this point. By right-sizing education, meaning we have teachers now, we don't hire teachers who say, I'm a 6th grade teacher. We hire teachers who say, I'm an elementary school teacher, and if you need me because you have a bubble of kids going through 2nd grade, I'll be a 2nd grade teacher. And if next year I have to be a 3rd grade teacher, I'll be a 3rd grade teacher. And by the way, then we have a big kindergarten class coming in, then I'll be a So these folks are saving us money. And I feel very passionate about this, is that they should be able to be paid what they sort of expected coming in. We as a town can choose, without a collective bargaining agreement, we as a town can choose to start chipping away at what I believe is a liability of this town. We could say, and the school board would like to do it with budget committee approval to do it, the school board could say, we will give those 5 teachers 1 step this year. 1 step. It would cost less than $14,000. We could do that. We can do that. And so I'm putting this out as a suggestion, that this is something we can do to chip away at a liability. Now, all of you know that the liability is closer to $50,000. Right now, on the books, as of today, the liability is about $50,000. But we could start chipping away at it.
So we're gonna go first?
I think, myself included, that we did a poor job of selling that agreement. And my feelings on it, I thought it should have passed, but we did a poor job of educating the town of how much money we would save. So my thought is, obviously you have to go back to the table, and I know that's a pain, because it's a lot of work that everybody puts into that. But we need to get that agreement, a similar agreement for this year, and we need to push it, and we need to sell it, and we need to show the town that by approving this, here's what we're gonna save, because that's what people understand, and I don't think they got it this past time. All they saw was $21,000 they're gonna get, no, and that's the way it went, and we have to do better. We have to say, you're right, it's $21,000, but this is what it's gonna save us in the years out, and
while I like what you're saying there, Bill, if the teachers are even willing to make such an agreement with us again, it's not going to be $21,000.
Oh, I know.
It's going to be another $15,000 on top of that.
exactly,
Because
which is the point.
until we start chipping away at the liability,
Right.
it becomes much more difficult.
I agree with you, and you're right, that's gonna happen, so we gotta sell it hard and make everybody aware this is what it means, and, we've been short-sighted in this town for a long time, and this, in my opinion, was again the same thing, short-sighted. No, whereas down the road, this would have saved us a lot of money, so.
Where's
Thank
Dr.
you.
Byrne?
Apparently the taxpayers disagree, and they say, no, we don't like this. But I have another question, that is, you're going around a collective bargaining unit to give people in the collective bargaining unit money. Isn't that an unfair labor practice?
No, it is legal for us to do it.
I would like an opinion
We
from a legal lawyer.
So,
Because I think it's an unfair labor
It is a legal thing to do, and I'm just putting it out as a suggestion here.
right, so I'm actually going to, as the chair, we're gonna have some conversation about legal opinions. So I asked for 2 or 3 legal opinions last year, and I never received them. So in this particular case, this is a school matter that the school can make a decision on with school's legal opinion. And as the chair, without a vote from this committee saying, go get a legal opinion, I'm going to expect the school board to handle this as a school board, not as a budget committee issue. So I think that the advice from Vern, it should be heeded. I think that that's a smart idea to get a legal opinion and move forward with it, but that is a school issue. That being said, let's move on to Kim.
So, I think that we should not circumvent what the voters chose. You know, you say we're saving, they're saving us money, but yet we haven't really seen a decrease in the salaries for the teachers.
Well, we have $100,000 in salary savings alone this year. Salary savings alone this year because we did not replace a teacher. That comes with right sizing the teachers. The teachers, and now are you saying that the teachers have not taken a cut in salary? That is true. And the other thing I'd like to point out is now, we are in our second year at Marshwood. Next year, this year, the budget that we have, that was right now, in Marshwood, our first year, the teachers there received a 1.5% increase. This year, they received a 2% increase, and next year, the budget that we just passed, the budget that just passed, they're receiving a 2.5% increase. While our teachers are not only getting an increase, they are not getting steps for any of those 3 years. That, to me, is something that if the larger town doesn't understand, I'm hoping a smaller group of us will understand and will make an effort to start chipping away at something that is indeed a liability, because it's going to be very difficult to get the union to come back to the table and try to get something that's worthwhile.
Right.
So just to follow up, you made a comment that the new teachers are saving us money. The only way we saved money was because somebody resigned. That's my first point. My second point is I still think it's kind of underhanded to not respect what the voters voted for. And then my last point is, I'll say the same thing I said about the town employees. Don't add it to their base, give them a bonus, one-time bonus, not a long-term expense.
So I'm gonna keep the back and forth going on points, because points are great, but we're gonna go to Denise first.
Okay, that's what your bonus was what I was thinking too. Are you proposing, or you're not proposing, but bringing it for discussion, that a step will be given to the teachers on a temporary basis? Like this year they'll get that money, but they'll stay on the same step level that they were on?
No, I'm proposing that they
To up
actually
them?
be granted a step.
I don't even see how that's legal, to be honest with you. That just does not sound right to me. I'm sorry. The bargaining agreement failed. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to a bonus to get them but to change their step, I don't think that, I would like a legal opinion on that.
I agree with Denise. I think this is an
Yes.
unfair labor practice, and I think public employee labor relations
So we're
board
actually gonna go over
will
to
tell
Suzanne.
themselves.
Suzanne, just next.
Well, it borders on unconscionable to me that, if I were to have taken a job with the Rollinsford School District, knowing that this contract had step increases, so for every year that I had increased my experience and provided more value to the town, I could expect a step increase. And to not get that, it is a really difficult thing. And I agree with you, Bill. I think we just didn't do a good enough job with the town, because I believe if the town understood that, the vote would have been different. And I believe if the budget committee had understood that, the vote would have been different. The fact that this budget committee chose, I think it was a tie vote,
It was.
so it showed up the way it showed up, that would have made a difference too. We're talking about people who are working for a living that are at a step 1, they should be at a step 5 because they now have 4 more years experience, or they have 3 more years experience, or 2 more years experience. I just don't think it's fair.
Right, go ahead, Bill.
And the other thing with that is, understanding the collective bargaining agreement, I mean, to me, the steps and everything else, that's a minor issue. The key issue is the healthcare costs. The healthcare costs, the healthcare costs, the healthcare costs. You can put everything aside, but if we can control the healthcare costs, everything else fall, or other things will fall into place. So, you know, it may cost us money to, you know, get the lower healthcare cost plan in place. And if it does, that's a cost of doing business, that's collective bargaining. You can't get everything, you gotta give something, and I feel, you know, again, my opinion was this was a good deal. If, you know, we'd given, okay, we may not like it, people may have to hold their nose and say, geez, I really don't like them getting that step raise or something, but, you know, we control the healthcare costs, because that, I think, is the big, that's the big cost driver.
So before I go to Kim, so I don't wanna talk about the same things over and over again. I think Judy has asked a couple of questions of the budget committee, right? The first point she made was there was a prior budget committee who tasked the school with hiring less experienced teachers lower in the steps. They didn't task them, but they suggested it. Is this budget committee saying that they would not like to follow that practice? They would like to hire, or suggest to the school that they hire more experienced teachers, so that way we don't have to deal with the fluctuations in budget numbers? That's question one. Question number two is, this budget committee last year decided to have a tie vote, but not recommending the negotiated contract. This budget committee can help steer what that school board negotiates with the union. So does the budget committee have some suggestions to the school? I think Bill brings up a good point. We would like to look at options in healthcare, right? As a negotiated agreement, that's two-sided. What does the budget committee feel should be given as we're receiving the change in healthcare? What I've heard so far tonight is we're looking for teachers to take a pay cut. That's what I heard indirectly. Is that what the budget committee is asking?
No.
So is the budget committee asking to leave the teachers at their current salary for how long? What is the time period that we're looking for? I understand the bonus aspect of it, right? But we're not in 2008 anymore, right? Our economy is no longer in a recession. So are we asking the school, right, as a budget committee, to have zero increases and just pay all bonuses?
No.
To not bring teachers up to their current steps?
No,
Okay, so.
I'm not saying that.
So let's go to Vern and let's talk about what are you saying?
Okay, first of all, nobody said hire inexperienced teachers. They said, take a good look at what you can get if you were to hire, and it's very subjective, what would happen if you looked at candidates who were not as far up on the step scale.
So I think it's safe to say.
They didn't say hire cheaper people or less experienced.
But I think it's safe to say that they evaluated that and they found that that was of value. And so they hired less experienced teachers lower in the step scale, which is what we're dealing with right now. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad. Sometimes it's great to bring in less experience because you can do different things. So I'm not saying that's good or bad or what the board tasked with, but that's the impression of the school board today. Do we want to change
Well,
that?
that's the wrong impression,
Okay.
at least from what I saw.
Okay.
That was not the intention. It was more, manage your staff. You may have to cut out another teacher. You may have to hire someone who's perhaps, instead of at the top of their level, maybe 2/3 of the way up. Consider that. Just consider it, not require it.
Just for the record to show, taking someone who's 2/3 of the way up to the step is less experience. So
Right.
that's what we're, so you and I just may be using different words. I'm using 3/4 up the step, I'm using experience, because the experience is the step. But either way, same idea. But carry on, please.
Thank you.
And then we've got boom, boom.
I just, the characterization, I don't agree with it at all, and I want that on the table. That's not what we said, that's not what people in the audience said, and I just don't think that's appropriate.
Very well.
So I agree with Bill, and it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't clear to me how spending more money in salaries saved money for healthcare. So a longer projection, a better explanation of how those numbers work, except for this year, would have been helpful to me.
I did provide that to the budget committee. I showed that there would be about $200,000 worth of savings over the next 5 years.
What I didn't see though was kind of where we're starting for a baseline and where we would end up. in both cases, so, more analysis information for me would have been helpful. In terms of, you know, where we should hire teachers, I think it's more about being considerate of the people in town who are paying their taxes and trying to work within a budget, a salary budget that makes sense. So, you know, maybe you have some more senior people, maybe you have some younger people, which is kind of nice, because younger people bring a
That's
different
exactly what we
perspective.
have now, it's perfect, you're right, it's an
So-
excellent mix.
I'm not saying that we should cheap out, I'm saying that we should work within a budget.
And we have an excellent mix right now, and it is these younger people, the younger teachers coming in, the less experienced teachers coming in, who have been able to help actually the more experienced teachers deliver the type of education that allows us to be flexible and save money for the town.
So I think we're having great discussion tonight, but I'm trying to stay on budget topics as they are, and Denise is up next, and then Bruce is.
One of the things that I think is the hardest thing to sell, because as you know, I was one of the negotiators for years, is that the steps and the tracks are 5% each. This way and this way. I mean, so that's 10% if you're getting a track and you're getting a step, plus whatever if you get a raise on top of that. That's a big problem there. So maybe my suggestion is try to see if you can reduce that down by 1%, you know, one way or the other. One of the other things is a track is given whether you have a contract or not, correct? Have you checked to see if a step can be given if whether or not you have a contract or not?
It depends on how the contract is written. For instance, Dover gives steps even if they don't have an effective collective bargaining agreement. Ours is written that it is not given.
And maybe that's something that we should try to put as part of the next negotiation session as well. So then that part of it isn't part of the negotiations anymore, only the increased salaries. Possibility.
Karen, Susan?
I don't remember exactly what I was gonna say, other than, you know, those young people that we have hired as teachers are those people who are now being disadvantaged because we have not given them any additional salary dollars for the additional years of experience that they have delivered to the town. That's the part that I find really difficult. And I don't have an answer, because you can't force a collective bargaining unit to come to the table. And, you know, we can say what we want, but the bargaining's gonna happen with the school board, it's not gonna come from us.
I think we're gonna go one more comment from Bill here, and then.
To what you said, Suzanne, you know, but that's also part of the collective bargaining thing. You know, they have to, you know, if we don't settle the contract, those steps don't go up. So, you know, when they sit down at the table, that gives them incentive to, you know, to bargain. So I hear what you're saying, and I understand that, you know, it's bad that we haven't done that, but that's part of the whole collective bargaining agreement, good and bad on both sides, and, you know, so.
All right, so with that, I think we've had great discussion. I'm gonna let Judy wrap up whatever else she has left here, and then we're gonna move on to the town.
Yeah, I'm pretty much wrapped up. I believe if I have heard the voices around the table, that you are not in favor right now, at this point, at this point in the year, of offering, if it's legal, of offering the teachers that are off step,
I would take a vote, I don't know that.
Yeah.
So again, let me say it again. We have the ability to chip away at these 6 years that steps have not been given in the past 9. And I believe the longest, the deepest someone is off step is 5. I am only suggesting that we give 1 step to the 5 teachers that are off, if indeed the budget committee agreed to do that, and if it was legal to do so. I think it helps us bring the union back to the table to negotiate, and I think it's a relatively low cost.
So I will entertain a
Can I
motion
just
of a
ask?
recommendation from the
That's all
budget
you can
committee.
do.
All it is a recommendation, that pending legal opinion and a satisfactory vote from the budget committee, that the school would move forward with increasing the step of these teachers who are off step at the moment. That would be my entertaining. Bill?
I don't think it's our place to do that as a budget committee, I just don't, and I really think it's think it's legal.
Right, so-
I think
so-
it's a collective bargaining issue.
So I'm on board with, I hear it, but I'm entertaining a motion. Do I have a motion to recommend or not recommend the school make this decision pending legal and?
Can I point
Sure.
information on this? I mean, I think I sort of agree. I'm not sure that it's for the budget committee to recommend. I think this is a school board
So I
decision.
will-
If they feel that they want to,
School board has bottom line authority.
Yeah.
That has always been the case.
Right,
Always.
so I don't think
But you're
the
setting
school is
precedents.
asking for permission. They would like to know the will of the budget committee.
Yes.
That's my understanding,
Yes.
correct? So I don't want to overspeak. So last call, I'll entertain a motion or not.
I have a point.
No points. It's a motion or, and then we can discuss.
Then I'll challenge the chair. So you haven't closed it.
So I haven't opened it because I'm looking for
I
a,
moved,
thank you.
I so moved.
All right, is there a second?
No second.
What's?
We have a second. Now we can have some discussion about
I
this
don't know.
motion. The
What is the
motion is to recommend that the school board,
To support the school.
to support the school board, but it's to
Grant-
give our
granting-
support.
Granting one step to each of the 5 teachers that are off step,
If it's legal.
if it's legal, correct.
I think there are too many contingencies on this. I think it's a bad idea.
Okay, so we're gonna go to Kim. Oh, actually, I think Nancy was first. Sorry.
My question is when, the step that you wanna give, is it in the current budget we're on right now? Because you don't, haven't you already approved bonuses and merits in this,
No,
the 15?
we have not approved them. We have not granted them.
But it was approved in a non-public.
It was approved in non-public, it would be preferable to give a step. And it would cost less.
But it
This
would be
year,
in the
this
current
year.
year.
This
All
year.
right, so on Kim.
So I'm going to recommend against this, but I will offer, again, the suggestion that perhaps you could give them a bonus, not a 5% bonus, maybe half of that, as an act of good faith. If we're going to do anything, I might be voting for that.
Any additional conversation, discussion on this? Denise?
Unfortunately, now I don't think that we're getting all the information, because if something was already been taken care of about bonuses, and it wasn't
It's very
given
much
us
up
tonight.
in the air. The board in a non-public session came out of non-public and said that again, that we would consider giving bonuses. this
To
year. We
who?
would- To the teachers, the 5 teachers that are on
Just
staff.
a step teachers.
As, because they've done this exemplary work, getting the school to, their merit bonuses.
So I'd like to call this, so,
No,
Vernon,
no.
go ahead,
Then
Vernon.
what do you need our recommendation for? You've already made your decision.
Support, not
A
recommendation.
step, support, a step, putting someone one step closer to being on their step is a much better.
Why do you need our recommendation?
Hmm?
Why do you need this committee's recommendation?
To get, it would be nice to have a broader group of people say that this is probably a good thing to do for the teachers. It's just good to have a broader thing.
Okay, that being said, we're going to call this, and so, all those in favor? Aye.
Could we have a
Alright,
Roll call,
okay,
please.
roll call?
absolutely.
We say what we're voting on again as well.
So what we're voting on is to say that the budget committee is in favor of the school board making the 5 teachers who are off step one step closer to the step that they should be. We do not have the authority to make that decision for the school board. We're simply providing them that we think that this is a good idea and in the best interest of the town. And as a budget committee, I think it's a monetary thing that the school has asked us to do. Right, so that's what we're voting on. It was requested that we do a roll call vote. We're gonna start with Dennis, and we're gonna go right around the room. So, Dennis?
No?
I'm in favor of bonuses, but not the 5% step, so I gotta vote no, unfortunately.
Yes.
I've gotta say no, because I just don't, I think we're going against,
All right, no.
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 No on the step.
Yes?
No.
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 Yes. All right,
Wait,
Did you get
let's get a
everybody's?
count.
And do we have the names of who voted what? Did you
Oh,
get
okay,
them? Okay.
go around. 3 yes and the rest no.
So it fails. It was just a suggestion. But, okay, so we're done with the school?
Thank you all for your discussion, and you may hear this again at some point.
So now we're going to entertain questions from the school, from the budget committee to the school. And we're gonna start.
All right,
Really, what I wanna know is where are you monetarily in the year? You closed your third quarter,
yep.
right, for last year, and where are we? Are we good? Are we bad? Are we overexpended? Are we
We're
within budget?
in an exceptionally good position because we've been putting aside more money for special education in
Okay.
Marshwood than we need to. We're in exceptionally good shape.
All right, okay.
We're in
So
exceptionally good shape in the school.
nothing out of balance, lines that are overexpended, or where we're looking at having difficulty to close the year?
We have no difficulty closing the year, and we've added some work to be done,
Good.
as I mentioned early on.
Okay.
Can you speak to the significant overages in custodial, school board, and library?
Just the line numbers of the function.
2222 is the library. It's an increase of $12,000 over budget.
Yeah, custodial at the moment is about, as of our April one, was about 15,000 over, and that had to do with a change in custodial staffing. At the end of last year, you may recall, we were going to go to 2 part-time custodians. At the end, toward the end of last year, one of the custodians left us, and we finished out the year with 1 full-time custodian, 2 full-time custodians, counting the facilities manager, and someone filling in part-time. We decided at the end of last year that that was working out well. The 2 full-time custodians, meaning that instead of 3, the 2 full-time custodians plus someone filling in on the hours when you need 2 people there all the time. And so the school board voted to go forward with that, and that made a change in the health, in the benefits, which is the reason, and that's the reason that there's a change there for the custodian. And the other one you talked about was the library.
Library and school board.
Yeah, I don't know about the school board.
Get raises.
I know why. I know what it is. We have not encumbered anything on the school board yet because we just got paid. You will see it come out in the next one. We haven't spent anything. The reason that already looks, I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, yeah, the reason you see that almost $4,000 is that's a matching grant. And we have not yet received the match. As soon as the match comes in, that goes away.
Okay. And then the last one is the library services.
Library services, yeah, the note here says the increase in staff weekly hours, and I think that's on an hourly basis, so,
How many hours is that?
I don't know. Believe me, the hourly folks are not, they're paid somewhere between $15 and $18 an hour, so. They're not-
It's significant overage for some unknown number of hours, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's not unknown, I just don't know it. I mean, it is known, somebody knows it, I just don't know what
Can you
it
bring
is.
that back at the next meeting, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
Any additional questions for the school? Go ahead.
On page 1 of the detail, I have it as, the overspent on group life. That shows a big overspendage, but as you go down the budget and see, you have 0% taken out line by line for individual, like the nurse, you didn't take any group life. And I'm wondering if what happened is it all went to the one line and you're taking nothing out of the other.
It's probably so, you probably hit it on the head, but, and I will take a look at that, I didn't catch that. That's group life, right?
Yes,
You want the line item number?
Sure.
It's 10/1100, 5215, 0011.
Okay, thank you.
Just jump forward and see anything
let me see. I think that it is the On the co-curricular athletics, I also was looking at you haven't, there's been no money spent at all on that?
That is correct, that is correct. They were unable to find coaches.
Okay. Okay. And the ELS has not been spent at all? Is there no need?
That's
Is that?
correct, that's only spent if there's a need, correct.
There was only $15 spent for a contracted service or something like that, out of the 8,000 or something like that.
It probably had to do with a test that was done or something.
Good, Kim?
Do you know any, do you have any projection on enrollment increases for the Marshwood schools this coming year?
For Marshwood schools, not counting Rollinsford students, their enrollment is dropping.
Marshwood?
Marshwood enrollment is dropping. We are helping, and their funding from the state has been severely cut for the coming year.
No, I mean, are we projecting any additional students in this next coming year?
Rollinsford students or I'm sorry, I don't understand. Rollinsford students going to Marshwood?
Yes.
Yes, we will be, we still have, this coming year, we will have full enrollment for 5 of the 6 classes that we send. We will still have a senior class next year at Summersworth. But our enrollment will go up because we will now have our full junior class. This year, we do not have our full junior class there. Is that what you mean?
No,
Right.
let me rephrase the question.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand what you mean.
Are we expecting, do we have any unexpected students coming in for Marshwood this year?
It's very difficult to answer what might happen.
Not that you know, in other words.
Right.
Okay.
Right?
I got a question. Okay, 2311, 5320, school improvements. You have 0 money balanced, yet you spend $5,000?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the detail with me, I'm sorry.
That's okay, you can get back to me next time.
So, you're saying that there's a 0 balance?
No, there was 0, the actual adopted budget was 0, and the actual spending is $5,071.
I would have to look at it.
No, that's, no,
What's the name on the line again?
school improvements. It's 2311, 5320. It's on page 5 of my handout.
Okay.
You have to go out on a limb and say it was a school improvement to start. But, all right, so is there any other
Yes, sir.
additional questions? Go.
Oh,
We got more coming from over here first? You still-
which one?
Yeah, I got another one on custodian equipment.
You want one?
That's 2621, 5331. Budgeted 34,000, you spent 63.
Say it again, where is it?
What page?
Custodian equipment.
Page.
It's on page 7, line 27.
Anything additional?
Yeah, I got another quick question. On lawn care, you spent no money? You didn't mow the lawn or nothing in July, August, September?
This is third quarter, isn't it?
Yeah, but you still would have had,
This is third quarter. This
Third
is-
quarter would have been December.
This is, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because they're-
no, it starts July.
No, the school's third quarter is indeed January to April, that is true,
Yeah.
which is what we're reporting on.
But July,
Yeah,
August is in this budget.
right, yeah.
If you put a year-to-date figure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's
what she
year to
had, was
date.
the year-to-date, and it's none.
No, we actually, our custodians actually use their own equipment many times, and they do it, they've been doing it. We do, the school does 2 major cleanups a year.
Yeah.
So they probably haven't done them yet, they do one in the spring.
And I got 2 requests for next meeting. See what the special ed balance is and what the capital improvements balance
I
is.
can tell you that right now.
Okay,
Would you like to know that? I mean, I.
Sure.
Yeah. That I
that's
do.
with the 25 going in.
Yep, that I do have with me.
Okay, awesome.
The special ed balance, after the FY18, 25,000 added was 155,160. And the building, with the 25,000 added in the last budget for FY18, is 103,430. 455.
Thank you.
All right, you good?
I think so.
All right, anyone else for the
Dennis is
school? All right, seeing none, we'll move on from the school, but I'd like to entertain a motion to move the water and sewer first before we do.
If anybody needs copies of the water and sewer, it's right here, bigger format.
Need a motion to move
I
it.
think you can do that.
I can?
Yes,
All right,
you
you
can.
guys are really less fun. Let's do it.
Okay, switch, burn your eyes. Can this be sent
Dennis,
next
can I
time?
give you one?
By email?
Oh, I think we have it in email.
The details.
The one I got was,
Yeah,
We talked
I
about that last year.
pick it up at the meetings.
I'd just like to get it.
I'll take one, Dennis. You have an extra.
Actually,
Oh, it's okay, never mind, I'm good.
Does Vern have a digital copy? Then he can, that would be good then, because I don't, I mean, I don't get one.
Well,
Oh,
he made
what?
himself a digital copy of the one that we just print, the one that was printed up, the detail sheet.
Yeah, we scan them.
That'd be great then, could you take care of sending it out then?
Isn't that really the school's responsibility, to inform the budget committee?
So we're not gonna get into back and forth, but I believe the school board met their requirement with the budget that they sent. If the budget committee is asking for additional details and someone pulled them up on their own time and shared them with the budget committee, I think that that's fine to do as well. And so I'm going to say if you would like to email them out to the group, you're welcome to. If not, that's fine too.
What they have,
Um,
if everyone.
But we're gonna move on to the water and sewer at the moment. Go ahead, Dennis,
All
you're up.
right, the water looks good, because it's the first quarter, and we still haven't had a lot of stuff come back in yet. But we're at 20.3%, which is very good. And we're carrying over 31,926 from the meeting that we voted on for the capital improvements for the water system. Hopefully we'll get our well finished within the next few weeks. It's getting close, it's getting close. Any questions on water?
Vern was first and then Bill.
What do you want, Brian?
Listen. Listen, don't give me crap. I mean, every month, every quarter when we meet, it's the well's going online, the well's going online, the well's going online. I presume it's totally constructed, tested, pumped, everything. What's the holdup?
Who's the permits?
Oh, it's the bureaucrats.
Yeah,
Okay.
no permits. And we're just about done now. We're right there. Everything's there, it's just that we have to run it a little bit.
Do a flow test and the water quality test. Those have all been,
It's the state, you know.
okay.
Are you the same, Joel?
I just want to know, it's not an engineering problem, it's not a
No, no.
structural problem, it's a bureaucratic problem. Am I right?
Over years, yeah.
Go ahead, Bill. Any issues that you foresee coming up that we need to be aware of for the upcoming year in terms of, I don't know, benzene, whatever, as much as you can tell, I mean.
Knock on wood, our benzene at Porter Well, that's where we had a problem. Arsenic's great, we have a great system in there. And you probably heard about South Berwick and all their arsenic problems, they never had a system like we did. Arsenic is when you get into bedrock.
Yep.
And we're 400 feet at Porter Well, so we're in the bedrock.
But so far, good.
So we have a
Everything looks
great
good.
knock on wood, you never know. But no, the benzenes are showing nothing, so if we can start running well, we're ready to run that well at Porter on full time this summer to relieve the general softener. So we're looking good. Any other questions?
I got a quick question. With these new houses building up in the water district, does that affect you any?
Not yet.
How close to capacity are you?
Oh, we got plenty of water.
Okay, I thought you had to go to,
It's the sewer that we're worried
Okay.
about. We don't know what the town's gonna do, so we're a little worried. We gotta meet with the town.
Yeah,
people
so what happens if
and find
you
out.
gotta go to the other?
That's at sewer. If we
Yeah.
have to, we'll talk about that when
Okay.
we get over there.
I'm sorry I
All
jumped
right.
ahead.
No, that's all right. Any other questions?
Getting up easy.
Huh? Come on.
All right, on to the sewer.
Well, that's great. Sewer is at 25.5%, which is good. Of course, we don't spend a lot of money in the first quarter. We're a late third quarter, fourth quarter spender, you know, because we don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Don't forget that, that plant is, we still have, running parts that are from the sixties. You know, we haven't really done the whole plant over yet. And hopefully, we can get through, I can get through this next 5 or 6 years. But eventually, it'll come, you know. We'll have to do some major renovations. The last major renovation we had there was in 2004. That was $1.4 million when we had to put in a whole new headworks. And that bond for the headworks won't be paid until 2033. Thank you, Brian. Hey! So we got a long ride with this bond.
1.4 million.
Yeah, 1.4, yeah. Yeah, so hopefully, like I said, we're gonna talk with the select board, see what's going on down at Blue Ones, and, you know, we don't know. If we have to start running another ditch, we have one ditch we run all the time, and we go back and forth. We have to start running 2 ditches. I'd almost say your sewer rates are gonna double, you know? That's what I'm saying. Everybody's worried about the water, but what about the poor people on sewer, you know? Not good. Yeah,
So I think Suzanne has some questions.
Suzanne, what do you?
Well, it's not a question, but, you know, so when you say, it depends on what the town does, you're talking about what might be,
Yes, what might be
developed
coming
in
down the road, you know, like what's going into Blue Ones, are there condos going in there upstairs, are there restaurants going downstairs?
so it would be nice to have maybe a joint meeting, something like
We have
that.
to have a meeting.
Yeah, that would be
We have
great.
to have a meeting.
And I'll answer
You
what I
know?
know right now,
Mhm.
and that is that the town has voted to rezone it
Mhm.
so that they can put residential units on the
Yes.
top, but we have not had, and they need to go to the planning board, they've not yet gone to the planning board, so we
Yeah.
really don't know what the owner's plans are.
We'd love to go to the planning board with you if you ever have, you know. it's-
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, cause,
That
and
should
we're
be
interested in
what we do.
capacity, and, you know,
Yeah.
we won't trouble the budget committee with this, but we're interested in how we can think about economic development in the village,
Mhm.
and how it impacts the
Well,
water and sewer.
You wouldn't back Michelle, Brian. I'm not on the sewer, so I don't know who else is. Probably not many people in there.
So it's a good conversation to
Yeah, no,
have, and we would,
like I said,
we would
we have
appreciate that.
329 users on sewer, that's not a lot.
Good.
And we
How
got
many
this
water?
520 some, yeah. So that's what scares us right now, you know.
Capacity
Especially
with
the
sewer,
bond we
not
have.
water.
Yeah. Sewer. We have to run another ditch, another clarifier. We have an old clarifier from the 60s, we ran it for years until 2004. We got the new one. And of course, now it's what?
devastating.
You know, so things are getting old, now all of a sudden, all this new stuff is old.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You know? I'm getting old.
Nowhere near close to retirement.
Ah.
Probably no rectifying.
So in the capital improvements of the plan, we're carrying over 38,889 from last year. That's why we only budgeted 12,000. Any questions? I know our plowing went over this year. We're gonna do a bidding out next year. It really hit us hard. We had a new guy who was killing us. He won't kill us next year. Next season, I should say.
Any questions for the sewer? Seeing no questions on the sewer, we're gonna move on to the town. We'll hand it over to Suzanne, how about
I do have some of the notes that I sent along in the budget, if people have
Budget,
Okay.
please.
Do you need the notes as well?
We have the
Just
budgets
pass them
here.
around. So just as a show of hands, how many would like a printed output of the meeting? So really, if we just make 5,
No, you don't.
How did you
I don't-
Should print it out.
I think it's okay.
He doesn't use a computer at all.
Okay,
I
so,
know.
so again, we're just, as Dennis said, we're in the first quarter, so things don't have a chance to really boom for the first quarter. Although I will say that one area where we are definitely overspent are in the winter-related expenditures, winter health and salt in particular. So, in the coming months, we will probably actually move budget as we did last year from contingencies into those lines because we'll need them for when winter returns in the fall. Otherwise, things are in reasonably good shape. I'm happy to answer questions. Some of the other things I put down in the notes are just some accounting things that haven't quite caught up yet with how we're managing the lines.
We're looking for questions, I think Kim was first, yeah?
So conferences and dues, 443% over. Can you speak to
Yeah, I think the same thing happened last year, that we
Mhm.
put something there that wasn't supposed to be there, so we'll leave it out.
Miscategorization,
Yes.
and I would take it the mileage is related to that. Next line.
Next line.
I'm getting there, so. Possibly, I can look at that.
Can I ask
Go
a
ahead.
general question? You're not doing this based on accrual accounting, you're doing this based on cash accounting, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. The DRA wants the books to be on an accrual basis, you do not.
Well, then maybe I'm incorrect, I'm not an accountant, so maybe I misspoke.
Well-
We're doing things the way our auditor wants us to do them. Here, how does that sound?
Okay. I think you have, first of all the payables in the system as of the end of March.
Yes,
To the best of
if
your
they-
knowledge.
yes. Yep. Payables, deposits.
I'm sorry, we kind of jumped Kim, I'm sorry, I let you run, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So town clerk election stipend 980% over.
No, that was supposed to be salary, so that will be corrected, some of that was salary.
Oh, I see, so miscategorization
Yes,
again.
Unemployment compensation.
Hold on, Vern, we're gonna let Kim finish up.
Oh, I get to keep going, okay.
Yes, please.
Let's see here.
So,
So lunches is almost completely expended, it's a new year, right?
Yes, but we only have one election this year and it's done, so we only budgeted for one election, it's the
Okay.
March election.
All right, so you're not really anticipating.
There should be no more expenses unless there's a special election for some unforeseen reason.
Trying to raise, let's see, transfer station heat, is it really only $250?
It's just the propane, now that we've got the propane correctly going to the right spot, maybe it's over budget, I don't know, we can continue to look at that.
So 156% expended, so you think?
Oh, I see, it's over budget, I'm sorry, I wasn't there yet. Yeah, I mean, propane, you know, one load of propane can be expensive, maybe this will last the rest of the year, I don't know. It's not it can be absorbed, we're not concerned about it.
Do you anticipate that you'll just increase it a little more next year?
Well, you know, Kim, it will depend on how the ensuing quarters work out. Because it's you know, I don't know how long this propane tank lasts, it may last a while.
Oh.
So I know for us, you know, we'll do it once every 3 years, but the year we do it, it's a lot, so.
So advertising was 173%, guessing, do we have, and that's in the police department, I believe?
Do you have a line number, Ryan?
4210720.
You don't have an Excel, you don't have a row number. I didn't give you
Yeah,
a row
page
number.
6.
I'm sorry. Say it again, give me the account number again, please.
I'll have it page number 6.
page 6.
And it was,
line 6.
Like 6 then.
what was the title, I'm sorry?
Advertising?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had difficulty getting officers, so.
Have we gotten an officer?
We have one. We have one. He has not started the academy yet, so he's now scheduled, I guess, for the next one, which is, no,
No,
This May.
Deadline for
this
that.
May,
August, I think.
August.
I want to interject on the police department. So I've been on the budget committee 2 years now, however long I've been as a school board rep. We seem to always be having an officer entering the academy. Are we cycling our police officers? Are we not able to retain them?
That's correct. These last
It's
2 or 3
retention.
years have been really difficult.
Right, and why are we having such a difficulty?
Well, our salary is not high.
Right.
It's low in comparison to other towns, quite low in comparison to other towns. We're finding, it's not just our police department, but we're finding that policing is not as attractive a profession as it has been. So it's just a sort of a political context, and so the combination means that we're not, I wanna be careful how,
I get where you're going, so my question is, the academy costs money, right? So we have to pay the officer while they're going. to the
Right,
academy,
but
so we
no,
don't
the
get to
academy-
utilize that officer.
Correct.
That's what I mean by that,
Yes.
so opportunity cost. So would it be in the best interest of the town to increase some salary for these officers so we could start retaining them instead of constantly cycling new officers through the academy?
yes, absolutely.
So-
It's the section that we're looking at very carefully this year.
Excellent.
It's expensive,
Right,
and the reason it's expensive is because that's where our employees are.
right.
You know, you've got one tax collector, you've got one admin, you've got one road agent, you've got, 5 police officers. And the retirement, the associated benefits cost is high for them because they're at a really high rate for the retirement.
Gotcha.
So it's expensive, but, definitely in order to provide the kind of policing that, that's, I mean, there is some talk from some of us about perhaps looking at other arrangements for policing. But to the extent that we're gonna have our own police, we need to ensure that they are paid, because it has an impact.
Can you actually compete with Portsmouth also?
No, you can't. But even,
So
we're
why
not,
even
we're,
try?
we're not doing well with New Durham, with Milton. So we look at some of these smaller towns, we're not expecting to be Portsmouth, but, you have to look at how you relate to some of these other towns. And I know that the lieutenant has brought us comparative figures, which we've shared with the budget committee. We didn't have any updated ones in our last cycle, but the cycle before we did.
If it's on the police, I'll continue the conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a nationwide thing. Nobody wants a job anymore because of many of the issues.
Sure.
I believe Rochester just hired 3 that are going to the academy, but they were down 7, and it might have been 9. 9 people they were down, so it's all over the place. And as long as I've been doing this since the early 80s, it's the same thing. Competing with the bigger towns and communities is the name of the game. The guys and gals come on the job, and if they want to be in law enforcement, they want to be active and so forth, and we're kind of a quiet town, so they can go to Portsmouth or Nashua or Manchester. Well, maybe you don't want to be that busy, but it's the balance, and it's difficult to find quality people, and it takes a long time to get them trained, and it's a big investment. So, yeah.
So one of the things I'll bring up is, had you considered some outsourcing, which is one of the things that Bill had mentioned at the police department initial meeting. Have we looked at having a mixture in that way?
Well, our part-timers are a way of managing that. I mean, that they're a lesser cost to us. But, when you say, have you thought of looking at that? I mean, it's a big question. It takes a lot of time. It would have to be a real commitment on the part of the board, the community, to think about other arrangements. And, just now starting to hear some of us, think about that, and talk about that. There's no ready, whether it's sharing space, whether it's just, contracting with, another community. I don't know, but clearly, one of the things that I personally worry about is that, if you do have staff, you wanna take care of them. You wanna provide them with a reasonable salary, good benefits, and they need a career path. We can't provide a career path, we're too small. And so, we're lucky that we've had the stability that we've had with our officers, to be honest with you. It surprises me, because there's no ready career path for them, so.
You got more questions?
Yep.
I do.
Vern is up.
Okay. Let me scroll back because some of the stuff starts earlier. Okay, you said that this is basically a cash basis.
Well, I don't know, no, I retracted that. I said, we're doing it, whatever our accountant, we're following what our
Then
auditor.
it's gotta be an accrual basis,
Then that's what it is,
but it isn't.
whatever.
All right.
Do you have a
Okay.
question, Vern?
Yeah, I do. I have several, but I'll start with the more important ones. Your planning consultant is a minus figure. How did did the
That was
consultant give you a refund?
No, it was a notation by the accountant, and it's probably an FY16, so I need to talk to Caroline about getting it out of there.
Oh, that brings me to an interesting point, which is beside this, since you brought up the issue of the auditor. Do we have the auditor's report yet?
We have the auditor's report that was printed in the town report. We don't get the full until June.
Okay. There were adjusting entries done to the books, obviously, because
They're
auditors do
always,
that.
they're always hard,
Can I
yes.
have those adjusting entries, please?
Sure.
Okay. From the auditor, please. Okay, I just couldn't fit, but to go back to this one thing, so I don't know how you can do a negative expense. The transfer station, again, is one of those things that's kind of an oddball. You pay the property liability trust cost all at once for the entire year, is that correct?
Are you under insurance?
Well,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we do.
For what, okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask the question that sort of nagged at me as I went through all of this. You have expended $353,114 based on this report in operating expenses, not capital items, not reserves, just operating expense. Page 11. Okay, we go down and we look at revenue. And revenue so far received is $213,721. So you've spent more than you've received.
Yeah, that's not unusual.
So the difference, because you've spent more than you've received, you're going into your fund balance, is that correct?
That is always the case.
Okay, what's your cash position at this point,
I
do you know?
don't know that.
Huh?
We're about, it's a little over $1 million, I think, actually.
And you have, how many more school payments do you have to make?
We're watching it, Vern.
Well, I mean,
We're watching it. I mean, if, I don't know that this is a budgeting issue. It's a cash flow in the towns, that the town is looking at and managing. Do you have a budget question?
yes, how would you make it if you ran out of cash before the tax bills came out?
We've asked for transfers from the trustees of the trust fund for the items that we were authorized to spend on. We are getting a short-term loan for, at some point, for some of the bond warrant articles, from which we're starting to expend.
Capital Withdrawals from capital reserves can only be used for purposes so named, can't be used for cash flow. I've already checked with the RA and they said absolutely not. Short-term financing can only be used to finance those capital items, so I'm talking about operating.
Then I'll check with the DRA and verify that with them as well.
Michelle Clark.
She's our person.
Okay.
Bill, you have something?
I'm not sure I'm getting the point of this.
It's not a budget issue.
It's not a budget issue.
It's not a budget
If
issue.
the town is operating, I mean, I feel if you have these questions about the operation of how the select board's managing the money, I think perhaps you should go and sit with them and see how they're doing this. But in terms of the budget committee, I guess my feeling is a more appropriate question is, how do we look for the year? And, when you talk about these shortfalls, the town has a procedure to fund this, so are we in trouble or not? And I think the answer is we're okay. And do we really need more than that?
I just need a clarification.
But, okay, all right. But I don't think that level of clarification is appropriate here, so I'll leave it at that.
Do you have any other additional questions, Mark?
Not at this time.
Okay. Are there any other additional questions? Go ahead, Nancy.
Page 5. Line 11 on the lieutenant's salary. Have you incorporated the $2,000 that you voted to add to his salary after the,
No, I don't think so.
okay.
That's the original.
So his salary will be 2,000 more than this then?
Well, yes, he will be getting a $2,000 increase.
Okay.
Is it on that?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Can you speak about why? Is it retention?
Mhm.
No, I think it was related, sort of related to that.
So was he, were you
Well,
at risk of losing
yeah.
another officer?
Right, so,
Yeah,
So
I think he was given, after conversation with Chief Ducharme and the lieutenant, a $2,000 increase.
okay, I think I'm satisfied with that. Go ahead, Nancy. Satisfied with the response.
Page 7. The fire uniforms. I don't know how far down that is. Let me look. Uniforms.
Protective clothing, uniform.
It's the only one in brackets.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know, I can check on that.
okay. I just figured that it was just a
Yeah, it could have been.
just a miss. Page 8, which would be vehicle repairs. And maintenance, we're already at 79.3%. Is that,
Well, there were a number of issues with vehicles this winter.
I was gonna say, do you think do you feel that it's
accident?
going to, oh, I know.
Well, it's unclear, but we'll watch it. We'll be watching it.
All right, that's it for me.
Go ahead,
Just
Michelle.
to follow up to that, is that police cruiser in that one? The one that just got rear-ended, or is that
No,
someone else?
no, that's recent. Be this quarter.
Somebody rear-ended the police?
No, front end.
Front-ended, actually.
front-ended,
They
right.
backed into it.
Yeah.
It was, ended up, of course, being a DWI because
That's
What-
the
what
dumbest
turned
thing you could do
Then
in
you
life.
get a repair for free.
Get drunk and back into a police car.
Yeah, that's true.
But Chief Ducharme did want me to tell you that the money we spent putting in these little crash lumbers or something really has saved, this is the second time it's saved us from more damage than from having lesser damage.
Okay, on the tarring, we did
I'm
Pike's
sorry, the
contract for Pike, and the contract came in for $292,000,
Yeah,
and we got $300,000.
Yep.
Now, when they did Bear, they went over budget.
no,
Oh, they
no,
did?
they went under budget.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yes.
So that
The
gives,
contract, when we did when we went out for bid, the contracts came back over budget.
okay, that's, okay.
But then, once we accepted it, You know, we had to do some juggling, they came down lower than, they were lower than that.
So a follow-up on that, we got 7,000 for road repairs,
For other road, for patching?
patching.
Yeah, we're looking to also find, funding somewhere else to,
Okay,
yeah.
that's gonna be a problem.
You know, yeah, our roads are a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, our roads are a problem.
We went to Kelland Drive.
We went to Kelvin Drive,
Yeah.
and
Our
that's a
roads-
lot worse than Gary even
Our
said.
roads are a problem.
And I got one more.
Go ahead.
Next meeting, could you give me a copy of the CIP up to date? You know, what the 10-year project is?
Give it to Alan.
Sure, yes. I mean,
I don't need it till
Well, you have
next
it
meeting.
Don't.
No, that's for you.
for me? Oh, look at this. Oh, this gives me a headache. Thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Can you give us a status on the town hall drainage project? Looks like we spent $2,250 so far. What have we solved and what are you anticipating still remaining?
that was, yeah, that work was done inside, so it was sort of Band-Aid work to make sure that doors could open and close and that the floor could be leveled out. So that was that work. The contract to Gang and Construction is for $38,000, I think, and it's been awarded to him. We are waiting for him to deliver his bonds and to sign a contract.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Just on the rec transportation, was that left over? It couldn't have been left over, right?
No, that is new. It is, it's not really transportation. I think it was admission
It was
tickets
state
for
parks.
state parks. So it's, you know, we don't really have a category for it, so, and if you recall, we, you know, that was a late adjustment to the budget, so all of the summer rec
Yeah.
is in the top line. And none of the other lines are budgeted unless they have a buck in the line or something.
So should that be up there, or should it be there, under transportation?
Well, you know, we'd like to account for it where the spending is happening. We don't really have suitable lines, so we put it there right now. I think once we have the, you know, the experience of this summer, we'll be able to see where this new instantiation of summer rec is spending its money. We can set up a budget that reflects it.
Tell us where we're at in terms of revenue, your projection and how close we are to that.
I think we're at, let's see, let me find it.
Did you send an email on that?
Yeah, it should have been part of the.
There is a revenue sheet at the end of
Revenue
that.
sheet.
Yeah.
So if you look at the, so if you look at the
Page
revenue
14.
page, we're at about 18.2% of the revenue that is not, you know, transfers from the reserve funds and fund balance. So more the, anything that's other than that. So you can see the money that's been coming in. You know, we don't get the state, room and meals till the end of the year, so there's some of the big things that we don't, we get a big chunk of the road at the end of the year.
Just to follow up on that, so we're at the end of the first quarter and building permits are only projected at 12%. Are you anticipating the summer is gonna make a big difference, or?
Yeah,
we're
this
gonna
is a
be-
slow quarter for building permits. Yeah.
So we expect to make that up?
Good.
Okay, the surcharge on the vehicles is moved to June now
Yeah.
instead of April. Thank you. I registered that.
Did you squeeze in?
I got another quick question. Have we ever got the bill for the snow removal for the winter that Mick did? I know they came in with a number and it was way out of whack.
Well, it wasn't that it was out of whack, the whole invoice was wrong,
Yeah,
it was
it was-
unclear.
yeah, I know.
So no, we haven't.
Okay.
All right, does that wrap us up on town? Seeing nothing, we're gonna move on to our next item, which is other matters which may come before the budget committee. We'll start with Suzanne, she's first.
Thank you. So, let's see. We are looking to do the CIP process sometime, you know, usually in the summer, but it would be good to get a, you know, our budget committee reps to the CIP. I know that there have been some people on this committee, I don't know if they're willing to serve again. Okay, so Denise and Bill, that would be excellent.
And me from the school side, please?
Yep. Yep, thank you. And the other thing is the, you know, the select board has formed a RPD Space Needs Committee. And we were specifically looking for a budget committee rep to that. So as it turns out, 3 of the people sitting around the table are on that committee, Denise, Bill, and Kim. So I don't know that we need to say that one of them is the budget committee liaison. I mean, if the budget committee's fine with that,
We can fight over it.
yeah, there you go. So the budget committee certainly is well represented on that committee, so I just wanted to say that.
Shouldn't we make it official though? One person shall represent the budget committee?
Is it required?
No.
Unless there's someone wants to move forward with it, I say we can carry on.
And then from a sort of a heads up perspective, you know, we're gonna continue to look at administrative services and at the issue of a potential town administrator. So this is not the first time I've said that. And I'm gonna be working with the select board on the notion of putting, now that we have our 10-year road management system that allows us to better cost out our upcoming money, to have our roads be entirely within the operating budget, our road maintenance entirely within the operating budget. I know that's not gonna be popular with some members of the budget committee, but that's what I hope to be working with the board on. That's it.
Any other matters? Go ahead, Bill. I was just gonna ask, for an update, did I see a new container at the transfer station?
We
Have we-
should have two like demolition containers
No, I thought it was a new compactor.
already.
Yeah, I thought so, wasn't it?
What?
It was a big green thing.
A big green, because we were there, we talked, is that the new big green thing? So
Yeah.
we didn't know if
It
that,
could
okay.
be sitting there. We did sign a
I know somebody there, I'll ask.
contract with Atlantic Recycling.
Go ahead,
Green, okay.
Denise?
Yeah, I had asked to be put on the agenda to talk about the bylaws. I would like to make a suggestion on a change. So,
Feel free.
okay. I
Guidelines.
think, I'm sorry?
Guidelines.
We call them
Guidelines.
Understood.
Got it. So I'm proposing to change F, make it in 10 or whatever, but my proposal is that to add another one that says that the chair can express their opinion on a vote. The chair should only vote to break a tie, not to create a tie in order to defeat a motion. That was what I would like to put out.
Very first?
If I can speak to that, I understand the point, but my concern is that I think our constituents need to know where we stand on the issue. So I'm concerned if the chair is not voting on an issue, then the public is not gonna know whether the chair, whether he or she is in favor of this or not in favor of a certain issue. And does that provide them with the information they might need to vote for that person in the future, should that person run again? So I guess, to me, it's an issue of how do that individual's voting record, how is that reflected if they're not voting?
And I have no problem with the chair voting. The only problem I have is when a chair creates a tie and then defeats a motion. Because then a personal agenda gets involved. A chair should always be objective and vote only when there's a tie, and it shouldn't have any personal, that's my feeling, that's my opinion.
Burns up?
I heard this was being discussed around there, so I talked to a couple of people who are familiar with this particular subject, and they said it wouldn't survive a court challenge if you passed it.
It's done it for
Because
years.
you're denying someone a right to vote.
I didn't say that you couldn't, I didn't say a chair couldn't vote, I said it shouldn't create a tie.
That's the
Go
same
ahead.
as denying the
So
vote.
go ahead, Suzanne.
Well, I mean, I thought of this last year when it came up, when we did this, and, you know, I vote at select board meetings. I'm a half step behind, you know, but there are only three of us. And I don't know what the school board chair does. And I agree that, you know, this isn't a, 300 member board, there are really only 9 of you who have been elected by the town. And so, I know it's a difficult situation, that was a particular difficult situation, but I think my feeling is that the chair should vote.
Greg, easy.
Well, that was my question. My question is, did you say to should only break or make a tie?
I said it shouldn't make a
It
tie,
shouldn't-
it should only
make a
break
tie.
a tie.
Bill and Michelle.
But if you're, I think as Vern said before, but if you're still denying them a vote. I mean, if there's, 10 people here and it's 5-4 and if the chair votes to be the 5-5, that creates a tie. But to do otherwise is to deny that person the ability to vote on something. I don't know that that's right or fair.
Good.
Or even legal.
Okay, can I make it,
Sure.
I'm not sure I understand that if this can happen, but if a chair votes and makes a tie, does it have to defeat the motion?
Well, I think then the motion doesn't, sorry.
Right, so let's continue this discussion, go to Michelle and we're going to Judy.
I was just gonna comment that I've seen it done both ways now. In the past, the old chairs didn't vote, that I saw, like when Dick was on.
When I was chair, I
Yeah.
didn't vote, I only
It was
voted on a
always
tie.
only if it was a tie, so.
Judy.
But certainly by convention, and we sort of learned this in our school board chair, training that we go to. That the idea is not to make a tie. The problem I have with making a tie is that the language says that means that the motion is, the language doesn't say the motion is defeated, the motion says there is no decision. And so when we put on a warrant, Budget Committee did not recommend due to that tie vote, that really wasn't the case. It was Budget Committee has no position is what should have gone on
Right, so that,
the warrant. So I would,
I would accept that.
So that I would accept,
Exactly.
if we can decide to go that way, because quite frankly, I believe that's why we do not have a collective bargaining agreement today.
right, so I want to talk, because I actually was part of that discussion, and that was one of the legal opinions I requested that has not been provided. So, that being said, I understand the conversation from all sides. So me as a chair, right, tonight, I had no intention of doing that, right? But I can tell you, when I was elected, I did plan on voting, right? So maybe if I wasn't elected, I would be all jumping on the table with you. But just receiving that nomination and accepting, I would feel disenfranchised with that vote. And to kind of put it in today's political climate, I would put that somewhere close to the nuclear option, right, that our Senate just used.
Do we have a second on the motion?
And, no, this isn't a motion, this
It's
is
just up for
open
discussion.
discussion.
at this
Oh.
point.
Right, so, sometimes we make decisions for reasons and then we worry about them as we go forward in the future. So, I just wanted to throw out my 2 cents as the chair, but that being said, I'm gonna go boom, boom, boom.
Can I just,
Oh, you can
the
go
originator
back.
there, can we change it to be what she said, that it doesn't give a decision based from the budget committee? And then I'm happy.
Is that a motion?
So I'm still gonna go boom, boom,
Okay.
boom, and now boom.
Okay.
So go.
Well, I guess my thought on that is I agree with you. If the legal language, as you say, it's not recommended, it's, there's no decision, or maybe we just want to put the votes on there. Budget
Exactly.
Committee voted 5-4 in favor,
That's
6-2 again,
So we're gonna go to
Whatever.
Suzanne.
That requires a warrant article itself, a town meeting, in order to do that. So
for us to do that.
Mhm.
With the results
Put
of
the
the
votes
vote.
on.
Yeah, the warrants are very tightly scripted with regard to what you can put on that, and you can't, what you can and cannot put as part of your warrant article. So right now, what we are required to put is, you know, the kind of vote, majority, 2/3, whatever, and then whether the select board approves, and if it has budgetary consequences, that whether the budget committee.
Right, is approved, yes or no, and so on and so forth.
So, Michelle and after Kim?
Yeah, so I just want to agree with what Judy said about changing how it's worded, because I do think it's a misrepresentation to say it's not recommended, which usually to the public means everybody was against it, or the majority was against it. When a tie is not, that's a totally different, in my opinion, a totally different outcome where it wasn't by a majority vote, it was, you know,
Go ahead.
So just as a follow-up, Suzanne just said it's very tightly scripted, so we can't really change the wording anyways.
Well, I think we need to find out.
Yeah, I think that's
Right,
definitely
so,
the case.
so I think Vern was next, and then, I'll go.
Well, I mean, the obverse of that is, if you don't say, the majority of the budget committee or select board recommended, or the majority did. So there's some things that went through, it says budget committee recommended, and that might leave the impression that everybody was wholeheartedly in favor of it, and that wasn't necessarily the case. If there was another way to word this, we should investigate, but if
Right.
not, we're stuck with the law.
Right, so, I'd like to ask the question of, can we create a policy that says, in the event of a tie, we don't put anything? Is there anything that says we have to put something?
I believe so, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
so who can we check with? So
DRA, I'll check.
DRA,
that would be great to find out what our options are, and I think that that's a great discussion for our next meeting. Especially before we jump into the.
no, I
season.
agree, no, I'm willing to wait, I want to investigate it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be deceiving in any
Right.
fashion,
Correct,
so,
100%.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
This is a different issue than, are we good with your, with this issue on the voting?
So I think.
I'm good at retracting my opinion
Okay.
right now, let's get this answer, and then I'll bring it up at the next
Okay.
meeting.
My issue is abstentions. I don't think we should have any people abstaining from votes here. I mean, again, we were elected, we get the big bucks to vote on things. And the only time I think we should be abstaining is if it's, something, if it's a personal issue or there's some personal involvement in something that, might cause a conflict. But just because, you don't want to vote on something or whatever, I don't think we can do that. So I think we have to vote, and I don't think we should be abstaining. So I don't know where that belongs in here, if anywhere, or.
Are you just talking about this little group, or is this
Yeah.
statewide?
No, our group.
That'd be good too, Steve.
I mean, no, is it legal? Someone wants to abstain, they can abstain.
It's more convention than law.
Yeah, I guess so, but and I don't know how to word that in here, if it should be worded or whatever, but I just, I don't think we should be abstaining.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I had to abstain on a few votes when my husband was fire chief
Sure.
because it affected his salary, it affected me.
Yeah.
So when I abstained, I said, because it's my husband's salary.
Right.
And if you wanna put in that that's the reason why you did it, then it's on record, and, because there is reasons for abstaining. But, in general, though, it shouldn't, unless it personally affects you.
Good, Ken?
So I just want to remind everybody that these are guidelines.
Yeah.
So you can come to the table and you can still abstain even if the guidelines say no, because we know that they're just guidelines and we haven't really observed them.
Consistently.
Correct.
But we're trying.
Go ahead, Jean.
As a new member, are the guidelines online somewhere? Can I find them?
Did I not send you a copy?
Oh, I don't think,
No.
I saw that we didn't know it was you yet.
Oh.
Because I didn't send my stuff either, so yes,
Okay,
correct.
so I'll get a copy. Thank you very much.
Something I didn't put on the agenda, but I think we should talk about is process. There was a lot of discussion and angst about the whole when we recommend and when we don't recommend. Do we want to have in the guidelines that we recommend or not recommend, make recommendations during the workshop meeting?
So can I just make sure I understand that, and then I'll go over to Suzanne?
Sure.
So are you saying that during the workshop, the budget committee, it doesn't vote to recommend or not recommend, they make recommendations to the budget, meaning we'd like to see this line changed or this amount added or subtracted?
Yep, even though it hasn't gone to the public, because that was one of the issues that came up. We tried to make adjustments at a budget committee workshop, and they said, no, you can't do it, you haven't heard from the public. So we waited to go to the public, we tried to make it, they said, no, you should have done it then.
Go ahead, Suzanne.
Mhm.
Well, I know that I said that 2 years ago about the workshop, so I agree with that. But, last year, the budget committee at its first meeting laid out that process for the year, and we agreed to it, including me. Yes, you weren't here. It was the April meeting, and you were not yet here. It was the first meeting of the budget committee. That's how come that thing got sent out. You look at it. The January meeting was the workshop, and we were gonna make recommendations. It was part of the schedule that we had made out at the very first budget meeting. We laid out all of the, when the town was going to meet, when the transfer station, we had a whole schedule for the year. It was part of, I think, one of the very first meetings. I think it was the sort of bookkeeping one that we had before the even quarterly ones. Should be in the minutes.
I don't think it ever said that that was the point at which we would make recommendations.
What it said, if you look at the schedule.
I'm okay with, so I think.
My own point was
Right.
that it was part of the schedule, which is why I was unhappy that,
Right.
or.
So in front of me, and I think, I'm not jumping on Kim here, because Vern was very nice to do this, I super appreciate it, because I probably wouldn't have done it tonight without this, is our tentative budget committee.
Tentative suggested
Yeah,
proposed.
for this year, and he put some great footnotes on here, which I would say are some of our lessons learned. Because I don't know these, right, looking at this. So what I'd like to do is pass this around, and let's agree on some dates, and let's talk about what we're gonna do at those meetings. So we can make, here, I'm gonna pass them both directions, we're gonna have a second school day. So we can get down some tentative dates, and if we want, as a budget workshop, if we wanna make recommendations to the budget, so that way the committees, the boards can go back and make those adjustments or not, before the deliberative, we can.
You got off easy.
Yes, he
I-
did.
You have no idea how grateful I am.
It ain't over yet, though.
This is just.
And it's subject to change without notice.
Right, so, I will say that I want on, right off the bat, we need to think about snow days. So we need to budget that in, that was brought up by Nancy, right, all my help here. Go ahead, Judy first.
And also right off the bat, it's probably not good timing to have the school district budget, which will be, by the way, FY19, during school vacation, because the SAU office is closed during that week.
Right, yeah, so,
So
okay,
we would not have our,
this support staff,
yeah,
yeah,
support
that,
staff.
so,
So I just.
between Christmas and
just
New Year's is
jumping-
not,
Just
yeah.
jumping into that right now, just jumped right out at me.
I kind of see some formulas in here. So what I'd like to do is, this is just my way of looking at it, let's go line by line down
sure,
this
sorry.
thing, and we can talk about it. So I'd like to talk about the meeting date of the July meeting, and say that I already have travel scheduled for that week, but I can do the following week, or I can do the week before. And I know the week before is too soon to get the reports out, so if everybody is willing to move that to the first week of August, I would be able to chair that, or we could pass it off to Michelle.
No, we should definitely.
I
So-
personally can't make it, I can do the week before, but I can't do the week after.
And is it
Talking
safe?
about the July meeting?
Yeah, so the July 26th meeting, if we could move that to August 2nd, I can chair. If we leave it where it is, Michelle can't make it. So, and if we can't go the week before, I believe, right, because it's too soon. So, I mean, I think, I don't want to go too much further out, so we have one person who can't make the 2nd. Is there anyone else?
I can't make either one.
Okay, either one, so we're down to 3. So we still keep our quorum though, so.
Can we go to the 9th, or is that too far out?
That's too far out, because you're gonna be going right into.
I'd like to go to the second.
All right, so let's go to the second, understanding that we're gonna be missing some members, but we still have quorum, and we'll make sure that we have good minutes, thanks to.
I'm gonna send you the Excel sheet that this created by, so you can make all these changes.
You're the best.
No, I'm not.
All right, so the second, so we're gonna make that. Okay, so, all right, so let's go on to the third quarter for 10/25, everybody good? I don't schedule out that far, so I'm good. So,
These are all Wednesday dates.
correct.
Yeah.
All right, so, and you'll notice that the location is on there with the town hall, so we're good there. So now, reminder emails sent out about all department presentations, so I get that, so I'll take that on. So to start budget season, we'll do police, fire, and the library on 11/22.
Is that
Is
the
that
day
on
before
before
Thanksgiving?
Let's take a look.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, that would be.
That's difficult.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Yeah, so do we want to move that back a week? Do we want to go to the 15th and stay off the holiday week? Is everybody in favor of that, moving to the week before? All right,
Can I ask a question?
go ahead, Kim.
So in the past, we kind of mixed up the bigger budgets and the smaller budgets to shorten the meetings a bit. Was there a reason that you put them in that order, Glenn?
I simply copied from last year saying they grouped, like police, fire, library was in one evening and cemetery one. And I anticipate there will be some changes this year as well. But I was just trying to get the thing rolling.
That's very nice of you.
Yeah,
You did a
yeah,
fine job. I believe.
yeah, absolutely. This is like the minutes, right? It's difficult to maintain and do. So, all right, so we're agreeing we'll move that to the 15th.
Will it be ready for the 15th though? Is that quarterly or?
Which meeting?
No,
No, this
Oh,
is
this-
their
this is the
budget.
police, fire, and library
For the
budget.
following year?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So you're gonna move that back 1 week?
1 week to the 15th to get it away from Thanksgiving. Right, because we can't move forward, right? That's the kicker.
Okay,
Right.
just the
You can.
October
The
25th
29th.
meeting, has that changed?
I was gonna say the
No,
29th.
The 29th has nothing.
Right, so we're gonna talk in a second about moving the school, and I think that that's gonna have to move some other items. So what I was gonna suggest was we take the cemetery, water, and sewer and move that to the 29th. And then we take the highway, town, and CIP and move it to the 6th. And then we move the school to the 13th. Would that work?
Ooh, I'm sorry, I got lost, the
Yeah.
29th,
Yeah,
then
Yeah,
it's
so,
Monday.
so
everyone up
let,
one.
right, everybody moves up one.
So
All right, so
29th
cemetery is
cemetery.
11/29.
So cemetery is 10/10?
Well, why can't the town do the 20th, December 20th?
You could, absolutely. Would that be better?
It is better,
Okay.
I'm
Sure.
sorry, what is the town?
Okay, so,
I'm suggesting the 20th of December.
all right, so
I
we
hope somebody's
changed.
taking good notes.
Yeah,
All right, 12, 20.
we're gonna go run through it again in a
Alright.
second. So we changed the town to 12/20.
Okay.
From
Did
12/13.
you move the cemetery?
Not yet,
Oh, okay.
It would be the highway, town, and SIP,
Right.
all three, right?
right, so we'll change that to 11/20, 12/20,
12/20.
excuse me. So that would allow the school to move back to the 13th, would that be okay?
12/13?
That's tight, and, you know, we would love to have the 20th as well, so,
If the budget committee wants to sit here until midnight, I'm not
No.
opposed,
you
to
can do
be
them both the
honest with you,
same
but-
night, I mean, I'm just saying that the 13th could make it pretty tight, but, you know, it's.
So the 13th is hard for the town as well.
We could do, the
But-
town could do the 27th.
Oh, right,
Oh, that's
but
good.
they're not on vacation.
Why
If
couldn't,
the
the-
town is here.
why couldn't the school do the 20th and the town do the 13th? Was that?
Well,
It's early for the town too.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can we do the 27th for the town and 20th for the school then?
So what is
Just
going
switch
on?
you
Let's
guys?
do it, then argue over it later.
That very makes a valid point, why
Yeah,
don't we do
let's-
that?
let's
So
use that
let's
as our
put the
working
town as
date.
the 27th and the school as the 20th.
Okay,
And then that gets rid of the 13th date, and we'll leave the cemetery and water as the 6th.
The 6th?
the
well, it
29th.
gets rid of the 29th.
29th.
It leaves that the 6th, okay.
Wait a minute.
Cemetery and water. you
Cemetery
have
and
is the
water is
29th.
11.
Right, but we were gonna move
What the
everything
hell?
up. All right, so 11, all right, so here we go.
Here we go.
Police, fire, and library, 11:15.
Yeah.
Cemetery, water, and sewer recreation, 11:29.
Oh, 11:20.
11:29. Highway, town, and CIP on the 27th.
12/27.
12/27. And then the school district on 12/20.
Get a read.
So you've gotten rid of 12/6 and 12/13 then?
Right. Okay.
Got 2 weeks.
Yeah. All right, so everybody's happy up to that point, and you
Well,
see,
we,
go ahead.
with 12-6 open, we may suggest that the police, fire, and libraries switch to that.
Okay,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Instead of having
all right,
November.
so 12-6
Yeah.
becomes the, yeah, I get that.
Could you change the
I'll
spelling
I'll
of
write it all
cemetery?
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm confused now. I'm
Sure.
going back to 12.
Thank you.
So cemetery, water, and recreation is 1129?
Yep,
Somebody's gonna send out the updates.
I'll send up the updated one as soon as we have it, so.
So 1129 will be the first one then.
Right,
Okay, I've sent out a spreadsheet, so you can make your changes, then send it back to me, and I'll regenerate it as a PDF.
you're the best, thank you.
Are you sure you don't want to be vice chair?
Yeah, no,
What?
for sure. Okay, so that being said, the plan was to put the school, the school presentation at the school, so we're just gonna do our little line draw to make that happen. Go ahead.
Just a thought, it's sort of related to the schedule, is these hearings and these large meetings, the larger meetings, can we approach and consider talking to the Legion about having the meetings there?
I don't care.
Well, it's
Make a
better
phone call.
parking, handicapped accessible, there's
It
a
also
bar
doesn't
next
have
door.
the fans blowing, so you can't hear anybody talking in the gym.
It doesn't have microphones, projection.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, it's a plus and minus.
Yeah, they're
Well,
across,
well, you can have microphones there.
I'm
It's on the
just,
stage.
I'm just suggesting,
No, I think it's a great
consider
idea.
it.
I think
So,
it's a great
so I
idea.
think I can make a phone call, right,
Yes.
as the chair, and I can ask them what they would be interested in entertaining.
Or you could delegate it.
Yeah, are you interested? If
I think
anyone's,
Vern- I think Vern did this.
Oh,
just to
No,
keep
no,
up with it.
no, no, I, no.
Yeah, so-
I don't care.
if
I'm
so,
gonna
you will?
sit-
All right, Kim's got it. Shake it.
What's his
Which one
face?
are we talking about?
Right.
Former commissioner, no, who was
Ken
it?
Shorey.
Ken Shorey.
Yep, for the school deliberative and what else?
Oh,
Town public
I would
hearing?
say the town meeting would be a
The town
great
meeting.
well,
place.
we're pursuing that. This is, it's a
Oh,
town
well,
function,
then
and
you're ahead
we're
of us.
pursuing that.
Yeah.
So don't ask
It's
about
not
that.
School public hearing, town public hearing,
Hang, 1 second, before you go on. So you're going to, talk to them about
The,
that?
the select board is pursuing that.
Okay, so I'll ask Judy, do you want me to ask about SB2, or do you wanna do that?
I don't know, I'm very confused, I don't quite understand all the notation here, so,
What meetings should I
Alright,
ask about? if
well,
any?
Alright,
certainly I prefer the technology at the school. But,
Well, so this isn't a decision that's being made,
Just
we're
find
doing
out.
some information gathering, that's all.
Mhm.
So,
let's get the information.
yeah, and then let's talk
You're gonna wanna know
about,
the dates.
right, so I agree 100%. So we've got the dates down,
Well,
right?
this,
So let's go line by
the
line.
school date is not carved in stone until we get it from the SAU.
oh, it's pretty much carved, it's, if
It-
you look
it
at the
could-
footnotes, there are not many choices.
Yeah, right, I mean, it could be,
Right.
I don't
Right.
know it, and
Right, I
it
got you,
always
but-
gets given to us.
Yeah, yeah, and Judy's 100% correct.
They're gonna
So-
wanna know what dates they're.
Right, so I think, so let's just go down the lines, right? Police, fire, and libraries first, we're gonna do that on the 12/6, we're gonna do that at town hall, and I think everybody's on board with that. Cemetery, water, sewer, and recreation is gonna be 11/29, we're gonna do that at town hall, and everybody's on board with that. All right, highway, town, and
Slow down a
CIP,
little bit.
Yep, sure. highway, town, and CIP, we're gonna do on 12/27, and we're gonna request to have that at the Legion. Or
No,
talk,
no.
No.
District.
oh, not that one, oh, sorry.
Not that one.
Okay, not that one stays at
We're
town hall.
here.
All right, so the school district, which is gonna be hopefully on 12/20, that's where we wanna request that to be at the Legion?
What kind of,
No.
what kind of
Not-
turnout
not
usually happens?
All right,
It's
so,
been-
no,
you're just
okay,
talking about the
all right,
big
all right.
It's been here.
That's my bad as the chair, I'm
That's been
sorry.
at RGS.
Sorry, thank you. I'm
It's
getting,
usually-
I'm getting help from my assistant here. She's- Sorry, that's me, that's, right. All right, so budget committee workshop on 1/10. We're gonna do that here?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's on board with that. Everybody's okay with the date? Now, before we move on, because I wanna do everything line by line like we're talking about. At that budget committee workshop, is the expectation of the budget committee to make recommendations to the budgets, to the department heads and to the members of our board on what we wanna see happen with those budgets?
Yeah.
If it's questions, so that's what,
Otherwise, what is the purpose of the
Right.
workshop?
100% on
Okay,
board.
recommendations, but not,
Not the recommendation of approve or not approve,
Right.
but if the budget
Correct.
committee wants to change some values, wants to move lines, add lines, subtract lines, to lines, the expectation is at that budget committee workshop, the budget committee will come forward with whatever that information is.
But it's
with the
not the-
with the understanding that it's not cast in stone, and the
Correct.
final decision is after the public hearing.
Correct.
Right.
And it could be completely different.
Correct, it could be, and I think with the idea behind this conversation that we're having is, so that way the department heads and the members of the board have a direction that they expect the board to be going, the budget committee to be going.
Well, it's even a little bit more than that, because the public hearing is the budget committee's public hearing of the budget committee's budget. So just because yes, it is the budget committee's budget that's being presented. And so if indeed the budget committee, it makes changes to the school budget, recommends making changes to it, I would likely be the one presenting it, and I would still present it, but it would be the budget committee's budget.
Right,
The
so,
same way the
Sorry,
town
I
does.
disagree with you, it's not the budget committee's budget.
not,
It's the,
Right,
it's
so-
Not
the
until after the
department's,
public hearing.
it's the department's budget, but it's budget committee hearing to hear what the department's budget and how they feel about it. It's
All
not,
right, well, no, now you're talking about,
I'm talking about the public hearing before recommendations to
To
make
our
it,
final
so you can make a decision
approvals.
about what that budget is.
right.
It's a budget committee meeting, but it's the department head's budget at that time.
correct.
So
Wait,
we
wait a
can,
minute.
after we hear public comment, then we make our decisions whether or not,
right,
So the public
Right.
doesn't know what changes the budget committee might make then, is what you're saying, and has no, they can't make comments on what the budget committee decides to change.
Because there is
That-
no
that-
change, there's a recommendation, and I think where we messed up last year is we were trying to vote,
right,
if I remember right,
right. So-
versus making a recommendation, and everybody got,
Right, so we have a lot of hands and
Confused
a lot of
about
people are
I'm
confused.
still confused.
Right, so let me put, I want to summarize how I understand it, and I can be corrected. At the budget committee workshop, the expectation is that the budget committee will talk about the budgets that have been presented, okay? The budget committee will say, hey, select board, I don't think you're spending enough money on road repair. We would like to see that increase. Or, school board, we think you're spending too much money in special ed. We would like to see that decrease, right, based on your accounting, right? That would happen at the budget committee workshop, because it's a workshop where the budget committee will voice their opinions and their direction they'd like to give, all right? That's the budget committee workshop, which we'll do on the 10th of January at Town Hall. Is everybody on board with that?
But
Okay.
I wanna make a request that the department heads be there for that meeting.
All right, so, for questions, comments?
Yep.
Okay, so everybody's good on the budget committee workshop, okay. So now, we've got all kinds of stuff here. Notice, sorry, I
Okay.
skipped.
I think when we also got our departments, when they first come out with their budget, we should also give input what we think of their budget to some extent, not to finalize it.
Right,
You know, if they're saying they should give a 10% raise for
Right.
this, I think we should give some sort of an opinion.
I agree 100%, and I think that's always been
Get
done
it
to a
forward.
small extent.
Get it forward so that they know where we're at.
All right,
So, just as a follow-up to this point, that gives them the opportunity to hear from us and then to come back at the workshop
right,
and then
With something.
resolve it.
okay. So if anybody's disagreeing with anything, throw it up, because I think this is a good discussion. All right, so to move on, notice of school board public hearing by second Tuesday or 7 days prior to the meeting, so that's a note to me, on the 6th. Okay, the school public hearing. So we have a date of the 13th of January with a snow date of the 16th. Excited to see the snow date there. Okay, is everybody on board with that? Now, the location of the school public hearing. We kind of left that one off there. Are we thinking the gym or the Legion?
Historically, that's been a pretty low turnout. The
At the
deliberative
public
session is, more of a turnout. I think it depends on the turnout.
Right, so we don't know
But they're
that.
on the same,
Oh,
they're showing
they
them
are.
on the same
Yeah,
day.
Right, so we're doing it on the same day again, that I
because we
get.
do it after.
Right, so we did it after. So that's a Legion call, that's a Legion date. Right, so the deliberative session on the school board would be the 13th and the snow date the 16th, so those two, the public hearing and the deliberative session would follow on those 2 days. All right, so that's a conversation we can have with the Legion to see if that date's available. It's the same day.
I mean,
Piggyback.
you were talking about just the public hearing and then separately the SB2 session, or just the public hearing?
No, so right now, we're just talking that one,
Public
school
hearing.
public hearing,
Okay,
in the same day as the budget committee deliberative
okay,
session.
so, yes, ask the Legion
Yes,
about
the
that
Legion,
date.
yes, thank you. Good. So 13th and 16th, everybody's happy, and we can move on. So the fallback is, of course, the RGS gym. Now, SB2 deliberative session, so the Legion, yep. So we're good with the 3rd and the 6th, and we went from, Saturday at 9 to Tuesday or Wednesday at 7. Are we good? Tuesday at 7. So we're good with the snow day, perfect. Okay, notice of town public hearing, 7 days, that's for my note there, thank you. Then we go on to the town public hearing, which would be, and so town public hearing and the budget committee deliberative session the same time, piggybacking off each other.
Well, my comment
Yep.
is that it felt really late last year.
It was
It
really late.
felt
You were
really late. We
last
had-
possible day.
Yeah, and
Shouldn't be.
we had difficulty getting all of our materials together in order to make some of the DRA deadlines and this sort of stuff. I don't have a suggestion, because it seems a little packed, but I don't know if some things can be pushed out. But that's really late.
Because the SB2, that's almost firm, right? Almost, for the.
Yeah, again, I don't know the dates.
Right.
It has to be so long after the
Right.
public hearing.
Why can the town not be in the end of January?
Right, so we could either do the 20th or the 27th.
Yeah,
I mean-
I would appreciate an
Sure, so,
earlier date.
No, you can go back, but you can't come forward. It's gonna be 25 days from the town meeting date.
Right, or more, right?
It can be more than.
Right, so if we go
Right.
back to.
January
Yeah,
20th.
January,
Yeah, sure.
Can I just, why
20 or
can't
27?
we do the public hearings together like we always
We
have?
have in the past, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they always were done together, and then
And
as
the school
public
and
Yes.
hearings, not the
Yeah,
deliberative
yeah.
session, but
that,
public, I mean, let's just say it's one more additional meeting and it's on a Saturday. I mean, why can't we do those together and then the deliberative session as a separate?
Town and school public hearing together?
yeah.
Yeah, we
Well,
always
not,
did them.
You know,
How far
One right
out
after.
can you go with the school public
I
hearing?
don't know, you have to, I
Well,
don't know if these are
could we-
correct as in
Because of the
the
delivery.
timeline of the SB2, but we should hook up to whatever that date is, once the calendar comes out, and have them together. I think the only thing it might do is might go down, it won't go up. It won't
so
go
we
earlier.
would be happy to piggyback, because it's, for sure, it's gonna be before February 10th.
Oh, yeah,
So,
oh, yeah.
so whenever,
Right, so what I'm hearing is we'd like to do the school public hearing and the town public hearing on the same day.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
So,
It's not that much, it was always that way.
There's not that many people that go.
so
So
now,
we have deliberative session for each one.
so,
No,
And
No.
deliberation
this is
of
just
the
a
committee.
public hearing.
Oh.
This is
No,
this is
right.
just to hear public
so,
comment.
so why,
That's right.
I'll
And then we
entertain
deliberate afterwards.
Yeah.
to the team why don't we move that to the 13th of January and do both of them then?
That's what I'm recommending.
Is
Good
the
here.
town gonna
So,
be ready
Brent-
though?
I,
well, the town
maybe
is already
following
ready.
weeks.
Oh, okay,
But
so,
the difficulty for
January
us was,
20th.
you know, we have the budget ready for here, right? So it's all put together. And then it's not gonna change for the public hearing. The public hearing was so late last year that then the stuff that we had to do once the budget committee made its final recommendation had us scrambling.
so Vernon suggested that we move it out to the 20th. Is the budget committee open to doing both of those on the 20th?
No,
It's-
not
it's-
both.
We can't, the school,
Sequentially.
Oh.
we can't, that's too late for the
Too
school.
late for the
Yes.
school.
Based on Vern's.
So it's either everybody goes on the 13th, or we do 13th and 20th. So I'm looking for a direction. I'm kind of hearing Vern say that he doesn't want to do them together. Does anyone else feel that way? So that being said, then let's put them together on the 13th.
Well,
And, oh, go ahead.
maybe if we can get some idea of how much is going, like, we had 24 warrant articles for the town this year.
Right.
I don't wanna do that again, not with the school.
Two people. I get
Yeah,
what
if
you're
Another
it's a long
suggestion.
one, I don't want them both on the
Another
No.
suggestion is if you put the hearing together, the two of the hearing together, then you could have a meeting, like a Wednesday night meeting for the budget committee deliberation and make your decisions. Like, well, I'm just suggesting,
I think the people who show up at hearings want to hear what we're gonna do.
nobody stays.
Well,
Very
Some
few.
do, there's a hard.
You have 10
vote.
who show up completely and then maybe one will stay. I mean,
But, all right, so I'm hearing confliction on this, and I actually, I get it, because we were there kind of late on the town. I do like the idea of moving the town up, so why don't we start right now by saying, let's do the school on the 13th, and let's do the town on the 20th, and as we get closer, if we find out there's not a lot of warrant article stuff going on with the town, we'll consolidate as we get there. But for-
Yeah, we won't know that until
we get
we're
much
there.
closer. Right, all right, so
We got time.
so let's do that, so we're gonna change the, I'm gonna give you all this. Yeah, the town, public hearing to 1:20, and that will put the snow date at the 23rd.
There's also some real specific dates we have to post things by, because
Yeah, that's why they're there.
Yep,
Okay.
Vern took care of it.
that was one of the reasons we couldn't piggyback them during the year I chaired, because I missed that deadline by a day, and that's why we had to have a second one, and so.
And that became the
Yeah,
and that became the norm, right, because we always did it together
So
before.
then that
but that
means
was
that,
3 years ago, so.
That became the norm 3
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
We're gonna notice these tomorrow.
The new
Yeah.
normal.
All right, so, and then,
Sorry.
we're not gonna change the town,
What's the deadline?
the town voting or the town meeting, so.
You gotta move the notice.
I don't think we can change the
Yeah,
town.
yeah, I'm
code.
gonna move all the
I
dates.
think that's been settled.
All right, so I don't think we need to regurgitate this, I think, you know, I've got it down, I'm gonna send it to Vern, he's gonna send it back, and we're gonna do this fancy business, and I'll send it out to you. Thank you for bearing with me on this, this is great. Okay, is there any additional business which comes before our committee this evening? Okay, seeing none, thank you everybody for giving us a
Motion
motion.
to adjourn.
No, I wasn't done talking. Thank you, I was outnumbered, motion to adjourn, Nancy, second? Bill,
Bill always.
all in favor?
Take Bill's job.
Sorry.
Thank you, guys. And welcome to our new members.
sorry, I didn't realize you were.
A little hard to harp with everybody, right?